Yeah, I don't think that welcome was actually. I don't know why you're trying to do it. Like, it doesn't
Ooh,
make sense. It doesn't make sense for you to give the countdown and the intro because
the
it.
barrel vision podcast. Yeah,
And that's the kind of energy level you'd expect throughout.
yeah. At least
Was
from
that a
me.
mini cough right there? Did that make you cough?
I've got a little something in the throat. There's a little something in my body. I've got some sort of illness. And that also made me get no sleep last night. So I am on no energy, no energy in my body. But I'm here. We're here. Harry's here. Hello, Harry. Say hello, Harry.
You're already talking too much.
It's fine. I'll just burn myself out in the beginning, and then it'll work out.
Shit. Anyway, so Christmas. I wouldn't say it's gone yet. I'd say it lasts till the end of the year, Christmas time at least.
Yeah.
I think that most people would, not most people, but I think it'd be nice if you could like have it the the Christmas feeling last till like when the next like term starts, school term, but we don't think in those terms anymore. Was my term starts later, and we'll leave it at that. But yeah, I mean, we didn't do anything on Christmas Day. I thought, oh, what if I streamed on Christmas Day? Not that I could have done, because I didn't actually have access to the channel, which was a whole story. I still don't understand why.
I forgot the password, and I redid it.
Right,
That's the story.
Tyler, I could have given you the password. It was in our DMs.
Yeah, but I forgot that. I even forgot that the account I was trying to sign into was the YouTube one. So I was just like, okay,
go.
whatever.
So that means you didn't get the fantastic Gru has a stroke while reading A Night Before Rockmas. That's what it was going to be. But yeah, so we did put that out on Christmas Eve, and that was the last video, which is fine. It feels like it's been fucking ages since did anything.
Well, we've been up to our necks in Yuletide joy.
Exactly.
I mean,
yeah.
I have like a 3-day to 4-day thing with my family for Christmas, so I was.
Yeah,
I was
at your nan's actually the whole
Christmas
time?
Eve, like the night time, Christmas, Boxing Day, and then halfway into Tuesday, I was at my nan's.
You sleep at home still?
No, we sleep there.
That's what I thought. That's what I was asking. I was asking, you were literally there the whole time, and you were.
Yeah, which normally it's not that bad since they had a really big house with a bunch of extra rooms, and it was pretty fine. But they recently had to move out, and now they are in a small little flat.
Is that where you were this year?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so me and Mitchell, my brother, had to share a couch bed. Well, my uncle slept on just an actual couch.
There you go.
And basically, yeah, it was still cool, but it's a bit more difficult than normal.
Was it cool?
Yeah.
Cool. Is that really the word?
It's just Christmas, you know what I mean? Like, it's nowhere it's like never perfect, but it's just better because it's Christmas.
So yeah, I hope everyone's had a fantastic holiday, fun, festive-filled time with their families.
Yeah.
Hopefully
I hope everyone got everything they wanted.
Yeah. Did you?
Santa Claus.
Did you actually want anything?
I wanted the laptop. And I got the laptop.
That's good. That's good. Would you say it's the best thing you got, or is it the?
It was. I wanted the laptop, but a nice surprise was a Technic Batmobile from the new Batman. And it's basically because we stay around there for like a couple of days. There's not really many things for us to do, like us kids and our junkie brains and all that. So basically, normally they get us some like random thing to just do. And this year, my uncle got us some Technic cars.
Twister. Oh, what?
Yeah. And it reminded me how cool Lego was.
Lego is pretty
annoying,
cool. Lego is pretty cool.
Yeah, but it's also pretty expensive.
It is. It's really expensive. I feel like it's way more expensive than it used to be, but I don't know if that's just me being stupid.
While I was building the car, my uncle went through the website, and there is a Lego Technic crane that is worth £1,600.
What?
There
I
is a
thought the
Lego.
Death Star was expensive. My brother was like, "Oh, look, the Death Star's like down from £700 to £400." Like that's still way too expensive.
Yeah, no, £400. That'll get you like a Lamborghini Technic, or like a truck.
I don't know why I just heard Lamborghini and I thought, what the fuck is he about to say?
Yeah, no. For some reason, like cranes and big trucks and stuff like that in Technics
They're
are
literally
just so expensive.
industrial grade. It's industrial grade Lego.
Is they go so hard. Like this Batmobile, the fucking engines like work, or like they actually have like the valves and like they shoot up and down, and like they just put so much effort into it, which is just completely unnecessary, which at least makes it arguably worth the price, especially since this Batman one wasn't that much. It was only like 90 quid, which is obviously a lot, but like in the grand scheme of Legos, it's actually on the lower end.
Yeah, me and my brother, we got my dad, like it's like a re-release of like a classic space, like Lego space thing from like the 80s,
Right.
and he said that he wanted it just in passing, and my brother was like, get him this. He did, and he was very happy. He got a picture of himself of it. He put it on Instagram. It's just like when your kids get Lego for you for Christmas. That's nice. That's nice. That's good. That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think that Batmobile is like the best thing about that film.
It was cool.
I really like that Batmobile. It's probably my favorite live action Batmobile.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
It's just like really like bare minimum essentials. Like it does. It's like it's got like it's like basically a fucking like it's like the buggies, right? Like the dune buggies, except obviously it's like an actual car.
Yeah.
It's just like got
it's a muscle car. It's a
jet
engine strapped to the back.
Yeah, it's just like super sleek, super lightweight, super fucking firepower. And obviously, like the scene in the Batman.
Because muscle cars aren't that light. But yeah, I really like the Batmobile. That was probably the best thing about that film. Because when I think about it, I didn't enjoy it that much. It's just going to be a Batman review, but you know.
I said it when we came out of the theater that I don't know, it was all right. After watching Morbius soon after, I realized how good the Batman actually was.
No, yeah, but, I mean, obviously.
Yeah, like it was still very good, like visuals wise and like other stuff like that. Like it was still a good movie, but I don't think it was probably the masterpiece that people would have hoped it would have been.
It was very well shot. It was well written and it was well acted, but none of the actual elements really. It just didn't appeal to me that much. It was a bit too grimy and claustrophobic. I don't know. Yeah. I like The Dark Knight a lot more still. Like a lot more, because I actually love The Dark Knight as a film. I don't know. I don't even know if I like Batman that much. I don't know. Can we get some Batman cosmetics in Deep Rock?
Yeah. Like that'll be a Halloween one, wouldn't it? Just like a bat mask.
A bat mask. I don't want a bat mask. That would probably be like pretty terrifying. Some kind of superhero costume I can see them doing, especially now that they've upped the game with holiday cosmetics. You know, and we did. I think we actually said in that podcast, it's like Halloween is a good time where they can actually. It suits those costumes more. If they want to do costumes, I mean, I'm not in favour of forced colour armours at all. But if they really want to do it in that sort of the framing of costumes, then Halloween's where to go. I want like a full body werewolf. No, we don't know. Hold on, shit, we can't do that.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. I don't know. I think like a costume for like each dwarf would be pretty cool just to do like a year. Like I don't know, maybe they actually double down to like the demon engineer, and they actually make like a cool armor for it. But
does that mean the gun there would be the sea monster?
Maybe, but that's because they're the only ones that you can really build with already.
Pumpkin Man. I mean, that would really tickle your balls, wouldn't it?
It would. Currently, my Pumpkin Man is the gunner.
Like that guy from Sandman. Mark Hamill's character, wasn't he? A pumpkin.
Yeah, he wasn't that influential, or like, really anything worth talking about.
Yeah,
Sandman was also weird.
I haven't watched it yet. Still,
It feels a lot like the Batman, in that it feels like it's real well written,
Rel Witten.
well written.
Will
It feels
Wheaton.
like it's well acted. It feels like the story is kind of cool and interesting and or stuff like that. But it kind of just comes out a bit mid.
Oh, I thought you really liked it. You watched it twice, didn't you?
No,
I thought you did.
I wanted to watch it again soon after, but that kind of simmered down. But
Yeah.
it is kind of like the Batman in that, like, it feels like you did watch something pretty cool, but then you just don't really. It just kind of fell apart.
It's
like it also.
I like those things though. I mean, obviously I don't like them, but I like that there are actually things out there where it's like people do just kind of agree that they're good, even if they didn't like them that much. Those things actually do exist, and I think the Batman sort of proved that to me. It's like, I think it is good, but I didn't enjoy it that much. And I think it's one of the first things that made me realise those things exist, things that are just objectively good that you don't necessarily like. Pretty cool. No.
Yeah. Which
like
speaking of,
what do you mean? What? How are you going to segue this?
I was going to segue because I know you watched it, Avatar 2, right?
Oh shit! Yeah. Oh, Avatar 2 isn't objectively good.
No.
The visuals are, obviously, right. Like that was pretty fantastic. I do think it was also better than the first one.
Not so much.
Okay. I don't know. I know it's got a very simple story, but I don't think many of the criticisms are. I think the criticisms are valid, but I don't tend to agree with people like these things are actually bad. It's like no, this isn't actually bad. The thing about this is good enough. And then the visuals are. That's really the point. It still annoys me. Wait, hold on, what are you doing? Are you actually trying to get me to talk about Avatar? Because I don't want to. Because I don't.
I was just saying, I thought that was one of those movies that people actually just come around to.
The first one, no. I mean, it's weird. Avatar 2 has made $1 billion so far. It wasn't like quick, but it did it. It's made $1 billion, and the first one was pretty like slow. People don't really remember this, but it didn't make $2.7 billion immediately. It took like quite a while. It took over a month, I think. It was just like a slow build up, and it just became massive. But at the same time, this one's already made a lot of money, but I don't see people really talking about it.
No,
it's just kind of how it goes.
It's just like the one meme of like Danny DeVito saying like I get it, and it's like when me a Avatar hater after watching a movie of just 3 hours of people like swimming in water or some shit, and it's just I don't know. It just seems like it's a movie that like is technically good, but like people still wouldn't inherently like it.
But
or vice versa.
Given that we're on the subject of movies, well, not anyway. Something I wanted to do before we got into the deep rock stuff was like our game or movie or show of the year, 2022. So we had the Gamer Awards recently. Obviously, Elden Ring won Game of the Year. God of War won every other award. But to me, it's like when you do something like this, especially Game of the Year, I would consider it. If it's just a personal discussion, it's just like the game that you played for the first time this year that was your favourite.
Yeah. Wait, are you asking me that? Sorry, Tom's just asked if I want the new card.
Yeah, I guess I am.
All right. Well, I'm not really the adventurer. Actually, I say that I play a lot of games that go on Game Pass. I don't really like find new games on like actual like the store or anything and buy new games. But as far as Game Pass games go, I always rummage around the recently added. And I don't know. I think.
I mean, you did play Elden Ring.
Yeah, Elden Ring was fucking amazing, right?
Elden
Obviously,
Ring is actually the Batman of video games for me. I know it's good, and it does look beautiful, but it also didn't. No aspect of it actually engaged me either, like the mechanics nor the visuals. Even though I respect like that style of combat, and I think it's beautifully designed, the actual art design, but it's still quite tiring to look at and tiring to play. I didn't really get. I couldn't really get into it.
It did reach a point for me. Well, I struggled to start first of all. I struggled to start the game. Like I played like literally the first one I downloaded I basically got like I built a character for like each class, and I was going to experiment with all of them.
I remember I made my character look like Robert Pattinson in the Batman. I remember. What the fuck? Maybe those two things were quite close together as well. I think.
Yeah. Didn't you only have it because like James got it?
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't have bought it, would you?
No, I was considering going halves, but then you just did it. But I don't actually have James' account anymore.
Yeah, so you could play it if you wanted to.
Not a problem. So yeah, I don't really want to play it either. But my game of the year is Chorus, actually. And I don't think it came out this year, but that was my point. Where it's like a game you played for the first time. That year, and I think it was last year anyway. And it's a game I actually finished, and I don't know if I'll ever play it again. But it was pretty fucking cool, and I don't see anyone talking about it because it wasn't. It's not like it. That's the thing. It's weird because you look at that game and it's like this is like easily. Well, it's just big. It's just a huge game, just in terms of like the length, the amount of stuff you can do. And like the visuals as well, like the production design. Yet because it's not actually AAA, it got absolutely no marketing, which is just really weird. It's just like it's also better than most AAA games. It's also I didn't think any sort of flight game would appeal to me. Obviously, it's drenched in this really well done like sci-fi aesthetic, but I still didn't think any aviation like fighter pilot game would appeal to me, but it did. It was awesome. I recommend Chorus to the wandering gamer because it slapped hard.
It's on Game Pass, right?
I think so. Yeah, I didn't buy it. Yeah, so I think it is on Game Pass. I still have it. I think I actually uninstalled it because I don't feel like any urge to play it again, at least not in the near future. And I think I needed to make space for something. I did it. I did like. I have a few criticisms of it. Like I didn't think the side quests are very good. This is getting a bit off track. We don't need to go in depth about Chorus or what it looks like it's called, which is Chorves. Which is
its actual name is very weird. I'm just trying to look. I'm looking through my games, and there's really not anything particularly new. I got Cyberpunk very recently.
Oh yeah,
like literally
Cyberplonk. They're doing DLC
this
for
week.
That.
Oh, that's good. Because I also watched
in it.
I also watched Edge Runners like literally the other night, like all of it, and I don't know. It did kind of like I was like Sam, like it's a pretty cool world. You know the anime for Cyberpunk.
I know what it is. Yeah, I'm aware of it.
Yeah,
Edgy.
Yeah. So it was pretty cool, like playing the game and then watching the anime and it just I know that thing, I know that person, I know where they are.
It's the thing from the thing.
Yeah.
That's what I do whenever I watch a Christmas movie. I see a Christmas hat and I'm like, that's from Deep Rock.
Yeah. And yeah. So I'm not actually sure if I'd say it's my game of the year, but it's actually a very good game. It really is.
That's pretty much all I've heard about Cyberpunk since after the shitstorm. It's like all just been guys, this game is actually good.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I believe you. Everyone who said that is people that I trust, excluding you, of course. Yeah, apparently it's just good. I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't be. Those guys are good. I don't even know if they overpromised. Technically, it was just a shit show on launch, though. That's the only problem. I don't know if they actually overpromised. But well, the community overpromised itself. They did that game was announced in 2011. So
yeah, and I also got Witcher 3 as well. Like I think probably end of this year, and I would say that Witcher
fantasy equivalent.
Yeah, literally obviously made by the same people.
Yeah.
I would say Witcher 3 is probably a better game than Cyberpunk because I think the Witcher world is just better than the Cyberpunk one. Like it really Cyberpunk never goes further than Cyberpunk. It's really just like that. It's just
it's also, as far as I know, I don't actually know if it's wholly original. I think it is. At the same time, I know that it's even if Cyberpunk isn't a completely original concept, like as in the game specifically, obviously it's like a genre or aesthetic. What I mean is, like The Witcher is based off of like a pretty long running series of like critically acclaimed books by you know a not Tolkien level, but, you know, George R. R. Martin, like sort of equivalent kind of guy who's like written this massive fantasy world that's got a lot of stuff in it, and I feel like maybe that's better for them. They got a lot of groundwork there, a lot of
and actual I imagine someone that writes a book probably cares more about the world than like people that make a game.
Yeah, I imagine as well.
And I don't just mean like, obviously I think people that make the game care about the product just as much as anyone, but like the actual world they're in, I imagine writers care the most about, which is why you can feel it playing The Witcher. Like wherever you go anywhere or like do plots and like do stories, like the stories in Witcher, like there isn't really a bad one. Like you could do a random fucking side quest and it will have like 3 plot twists and like a fail state and like all this other stuff.
Yeah, I've heard about all this kind of stuff with like the ridiculously long side quests. That are all like, just ridiculously in depth 4 side quests.
Yeah,
at least.
Like it's like completely unnecessary in that like I was just like auto driving along on Roach, his horse, which is a weird name for a horse. And it's just this hunter. It's like, hey, help! My like a horse and cart ran off. Oh, save them! They got like mauled, and you go there, and they didn't get mauled. They were like shot by bows, and they were like robbed, and you have to grab like a trinket or whatever, like a little box, and you basically like clearly they weren't mauled, right? There was an arrow through this guy's head. You better start spitting it. And it turns out he's like some fucking CIA secret agent that was like killing him to get some medicine. No, it's some like Secret Service fucking bullshit.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's just
sure, CIA, The Witcher, Tyler.
Yeah, well, it was just unnecessary. Like he could just be a bandit, or like it could just be that. Because I was convinced that he was just a bandit after that. Obviously, I believed that it was just someone got attacked, and then clearly they weren't attacked. It just gets more and more complicated, really. And that's like every side quest. Meanwhile, Cyberpunk is pretty modern day side quests or like modern day story plots of just going from A to B doing thing.
I just realised that I'm gonna have to like, because I think you can do this. Where when you share a video, you can like choose where it's going to start. When people use the link, I'm probably gonna have to do that for this. Which is absolutely fine, but which also I will do, which also means we don't have to. Like, I still want to, film of the year. You might not. Do you even have an answer? Would you even have an answer for that?
I don't know what films I watched this year.
Exactly. I mean, you did watch the Batman. I know that.
This year?
Yeah, like I said, like Elden Ring and Batman were similar times.
Right. I mean, what were the Marvel movies this year?
Did you watch any of those at all?
I don't even
know what came out this year for Marvel.
Thor: Love and Thunder.
Thor: Love and Thunder. Was there not a movie before that?
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was.
Multiverse of Madness.
Oh yeah, that. Yeah, that was
I think you can call it entertaining.
It was.
It was entertaining. Yeah. I liked the music chord fight between Doctor Strange's, the one where they summoned musical notes and they attacked each other with them.
Doctor Strange and Doctor Stranger.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
Sam
Its overall
Raimi.
quality is very debatable. But I don't know. It was a fun one. No, I wouldn't call it my favorite. But then again, I haven't watched that many movies this year. Um, or at least new movies. I don't think.
No, but it would still be a movie. I mean, I think it's a little bit different for films, but I would still say a movie you watch for the first time, like
Yeah.
Knives Out.
Is that what you've watched?
I did, but that's not what I'm. That's not actually my pick. I watched it
I mean,
recently because of the new one on
yeah.
Netflix. So they're both on Netflix now because it's a Netflix franchise now.
Yeah.
Although apparently the new one is still very, very good, and it was good. I liked it. I like Daniel Craig a lot, being a silly little guy. Um,
No Goober.
yeah, with his amazing voice. What's the cheese? It's just this ridiculous, over the top Southern accent, but it really works.
Yeah, I like. I haven't actually watched them. I was literally hovering over them last night though. But I do like. I like mysteries in that kind of sense. Like I literally like. I don't read like anything. Let alone like audiobooks. But I have like
Well, you
the
don't read
entire fucking.
audiobooks either.
No, I guess. But like I got Audible and I just have like the entire catalogue of Sherlock Holmes read by Stephen Fry, and
That's
that's like
good.
a fucking.
Because I knew that you'd listened to. I knew you'd been listening to Sherlock Holmes, but I didn't know it was Stephen Fry.
Yes,
That's pretty
which
good.
is it is really good because obviously, first of all, Stephen Fry, right? But he also like interjects with his own notes, like in between some stories, because like his life has been very heavily influenced by Sherlock Holmes. So basically, fucking amazing thing. It's like 70 hours as well, and I got it for free because it's like
And
you can just use a chip.
he was
Um,
Mycroft Holmes in
yeah,
Sherlock Holmes 2.
yeah, and
They are
it's
doing another one of those. I don't know when that's going to happen though.
yeah. But I like those kind of things. And not that most people know that, but there's like Detective Conan, which is like a longer than One Piece, like fucking manga slash anime thing. But it's just mysteries, like solve the murder, who done it kind of things. And so I am tempted because it's also the Knives Out. It's just that, right? It's just like
It's a whodunit.
who done it, but with like a bunch of giant fucking actors in it for some reason, right? Like they
Well,
just hire like the biggest
it's an
faces.
ensemble cast because it's supposed to be about like a group of characters.
Yeah.
So you hire. I mean, not every actor is an A-lister. I mean, I think the second one is a little bit of a step down in terms of how like well known the actors are. But it's still every character is very important, so they get specific actors. Like, yeah, I don't know how to really describe it, but yeah, I watched the first one, and it's pretty good. I knew who done it
Yeah, I
before.
know we did it.
It's quite obvious, but at the same time, if you like don't think about that, it's as in you sort of know, but if you look at it objectively, you think this is actually really well done in terms of sort of leading you astray and sort of really not making it clear who's gonna like basically who's going to actually be the person who gets convicted. It's not clear if that's going to be the same as the person who actually did it. At the same time, it's also not clear if the person who did it is actually the person who did it or if someone else did it by accident. It's pretty well done actually. I mean, I wasn't surprised, but I still liked how it was done. It was pretty good, yeah. And it was obviously it was directed by the guy who did the Last Jedi. So like
Oh,
yeah. So this is like an interesting thing where it's just like
so
Star Wars,
he
Star
is
Wars fans
good.
just like we hate this guy, but it's like yeah, but like no one actually with a brain has actually been like, oh, this guy's shit when it comes to Knives Out. Yeah, it's interesting how that can happen. Where it's just like
Well, it
even
just means that the issues lied elsewhere. It wasn't a lack of talent on his behalf.
his directing talent, but he still had a hand in the story of the Last Jedi. At the same time,
Obviously, yeah.
I sort of blame Disney overall because they didn't really have a plan for that trilogy. And
They just
so
wanted to make more Star Wars
you
movies,
can't
didn't
really
they?
blame Ryan Johnson when he's like he didn't direct episode 7, but they brought him in for episode 8 and they were just like they just basically told him to do what you like because they didn't have a plan. It's just like he wasn't really in charge. This is one of those cases where in that he is a good director who can like stand in his own feet and has his own style, but he was just a pawn when it came to Star Wars. Really, he was a pawn, but they didn't have a plan for him either. So basically, they were just like, do what you want, but you're also gonna have to take the blame.
Yeah, do what you want, but don't fuck it up, and we'll leave you to that.
Yeah. Oh god, that Star Wars trilogy is such a fuck up.
Yeah. There's not been much Star Wars stuff recently, is there?
There's been a shitload this year.
It's been like Angor or whatever his fucking name is.
That's someone else.
I'm pretty sure it's Angor.
It's Tom. It's Tom Clark, isn't it?
And Angry Tom.
Yeah. Star Wars. Well, they had the Book of Boba Fett this year.
Oh,
It was mostly this year. And then Kenobi, which was shit.
I couldn't finish Kenobi,
which is probably Star Wars Visions, which is the anime anthology. Maybe they had Tales of the Jedi, which was a Clone Wars spin-off, and like a little like some Grogu like short films, and Andor. Yeah, so it was pretty packed, but it was no films.
Yeah, probably for the best.
Yeah, the films are the worst part of Star Wars.
Yeah,
it literally. I think everyone agrees. And I think even then, it goes beyond just like, oh yeah, The Mandalorian is good, The Clone Wars is good, but I think everyone agrees the games are the most consistently good part of Star Wars. There's a lot of good Star Wars games.
One of them out as well, or a new one coming out.
Well, there was Star Wars like Squadrons, which was a fighter pilot game, which was this year. It pretty much went under the radar, but I haven't heard any bad things about it either. But yeah, like the Jedi series, that's what it's called. I feel like I've got to say Jedi Fallen Order, but that's not the name of the series. It's Jedi Fallen Order and then Jedi Survivor.
Yeah, that's the new one, right?
I haven't played the first one properly.
It's a bit like
it's not like the Dark Souls of Star Wars, no, but it's a game that's clearly inspired by Dark Souls in sort of the way it plays. It's not like Cuphead, where people like Cuphead is like the Dark Souls of platformers. No, Jedi Fallen Order is clearly like Dark Souls with like a Star Wars skin. Which maybe is why I couldn't get into it that much. The story is quite good.
You go through a gauntlet of like enemies. That's normally Dark Souls, right?
Well, the
like, it's just a long trail.
Punishing, and you are definitely meant to try over and over again. And it's very obviously it's melee focused because you're a Jedi. But you also have force powers and stuff. It's pretty cool, and also it's like a pretty well done story. It's got actual good actors doing it. Like the main character, he's a pretty good actor. He was in Gotham as the Joker.
Right.
And then they were like, and I always see discussion. His name's Cameron Monaghan, and I always see discussions where it's like, I see people not understanding that they're the same person, that he plays the character in game, and they were like, oh, he should play that character in like live action because he looks so much like him. Because like, bro, come on, get a grip. My film of the year, anyway. My film. Any chance that you could guess, maybe? Oh, I should say you'd probably guess if you remembered that this film exists.
Right. Oh, Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah. Top Gun Maverick. Yeah. We watched it. I got it for Christmas on Blu-ray. That was a good present. We watched it. We got a fucking bomb-ass new TV. Not mine. I need a new TV, but in the lounge, the living room. We watched it on that, and I think the reason I almost liked it more actually the second time, but that's because that's the closest I've had to it being like a cinema at home. It's just a fantastic film. It's just good. It's just great. It's just great. I don't know if I would recommend it to you, but as a general, I'll give a general recommendation. It's just infallible.
Ooh.
Yeah. Show of the year. Show. Sandman. I didn't watch that, obviously. The
thing is, like, shows nowadays, it's really just whatever's on, like, or Netflix. Really, like, no other platforms really win on, like, shows.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
Yeah?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. And Paramount. I mean, come on, guys. Paramount Plus. They had Halo.
Yeah. I forgot.
I think I like Prime. I think the stuff that on Prime that's really popular is
The Boys
better than on Netflix. Yeah, The Boys
season 3 come out this year.
That was this year. Yeah.
That was honestly, it's definitely top three. If I can think of any other ones that might be up there with it, like yeah, Boys was fucking fire, as usual, right? Like it's a kind of a given at this point.
Yeah, how long before that starts to wane though? I don't know. I don't know
Exactly.
actually, because like honestly, I don't know if I agree with any of the criticisms of season 3, and it was mainly just like the finale was like a little bit lackluster. I'm just like, I think the way it ended was, but the actual as like a finale in terms of. I don't know if it delivered entirely in the end, but it sort of brought in all the elements that it should have done, and it was pretty tense while everything was happening.
It really felt like it really looked like everything was going to occur. When you look at it on the outside, nothing occurred. Right? It looked like
Queen Maeve
finally,
didn't even die, but at the same time,
Queen Maeve didn't die.
She did lose her powers.
Soldier Boy didn't die. Well, yeah, but that's a good ending for her, right? Soldier Boy isn't dead. He's in like a frozen thing. The only thing is, that's the thing though, is that like the actual climactic ending wasn't anything special because nothing really happened. But like the little bit after, like probably I assume like the final minutes after the actual grand fight was kind of fucking fire. Like obviously with Butcher be having like what a couple months to live or some shit. I don't remember how long it was. And that was like a whole thing. And obviously, Homelander's like just basically he's gone off the deep end and he's getting rewarded for it, right?
I still think it was like one of the fucking most chilling things I've ever seen or watched. It wasn't necessarily about what was being shown. It was just a scene where he was like basically just explaining how he doesn't mind being feared. So like the video from like on the plane, which is what they've been using against him the whole time, as like leverage. It's basically just irrelevant. It's like, oh fuck, this guy wouldn't mind just going off the rails and having everyone fear him. And the way that was done, that was actually terrifying.
Yeah, it's because it's like there's everyone has their limits. Like they could only be pushed so far, and like Homelander has been pushed past it at this point.
Yeah, it's so good though. It's just I love that the world is almost unified. I'm just loving the boys. But the problem is, like kind of, because recently there's like the like crazy right wing people who sort of idolize Homelander, and like the boys is sort of taking on a bit of a weird cult, like separate fan base of like these weird people, and some people are letting it get to them. I think, which you just shouldn't. Just enjoy the show.
Well, I'm not surprised because Homelander is a quite humanized Nazi, right? Really, like.
Oh yes, I was about to say. Well, no, he's not a Nazi. I mean, he's literally not a Nazi, but because he didn't actually agree with the Nazi on those matters. But that's it's almost worse.
Yeah, he is convinced that there is a superior race and that is him.
Well, I thought the point of season 3 was almost it went beyond that, where it's more so just him, not just
exactly
people.
Yeah, it is him and Ryan. That's like it as far as he's concerned. I think
that was the part. That was the other part of the end of season 3 that was good. That it shows that Ryan is probably going to be a problem, and that Homelander is being celebrated for killing like protesters, basically, or people who don't like him, and they just cheered for him. That was also terrifying.
Yeah, basically, like it. Yeah, I feel like it's because it was more gunning for like a finale. Like that's what it felt like, right? Like they finally had the means to kill Homelander. Yet that didn't occur, right?
No, and I think that's fine because I still want him to really go off the rails, and I think they're going to do that pretty soon.
Yeah,
I actually had a dream where that happened in the real world, and it was kind of terrifying.
Yeah,
we were like at school, like secondary school, and like the world, like the sky was just on fire. It was really weird. How that was pretty odd. I mean, that's pretty cool. I knew it was a dream. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Either way, that's not my show of the year though. It's actually Reacher.
Yeah.
The Jack Reacher. series on Prime. I just kind of love it. I've actually watched it twice, and it did come out this year, season 1, and I've watched it twice because it drew me in. I just liked it a lot. So that's another recommendation for anyone. Watch Reacher. It's pretty good. I mean, it's very very not The Boys, but it's still quite crude. Actually, it's very gory. Actually, it's like people getting like strung up and made to eat their own genitals, all sorts of gubbins. Lovely. The next award, however, of the year, favorite thing that was added to Deep Rock. We might as well.
That's
I think that's a good way to do it.
Yeah,
Let's really get started.
This year, right?
We could also split it as like favorite event / update, and then also just favorite anything or best.
Well, there isn't really that big of a separation, is there? Like, if it wasn't added during everything was added during an update, right? Like, I don't know. Point is, I would like to say Small Meteor.
Oh,
if it wasn't for the fact, if it wasn't for the fact that on a very serious note, it kind of fucking sucks. Like, obviously, it was really cool that they added it and went as hard as they did, but they could really do with actually rewarding you with them, like at least close to the amount of the other Meteor, right? Like, I think you should be getting around 3, not always around 1. But you didn't hear that from me. So, like, yeah.
I mean, you're not bloody wrong, mate.
Yeah, gameplay-wise, I don't think it was inherently game-changing and amazing and good and that. But simply in the act of adding it to the game, restored so much faith in them and revitalized so much love for the game. That it's just, I don't know, I can't really think of anything else that like really did that.
For me, it's probably the Resplendent Thrills. Cyber. No. I
don't mind secondaries.
Yeah, I was thinking it's probably one of those, or just those.
Yeah,
possibly. If you want to take that as one thing, I would absolutely, if I could, and so I will. It's absolutely the new secondaries. I just think they knocked it out of the park, and I don't want to see them not do something like that again. Because it's basically like. But at the same time, there's nothing exactly the same as weapons. So the only time we're going to get something like that again is when they do weapons again.
Or add a new class.
Or add a new class. Yeah, but that'd be beyond that though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It would be. That'd be kind of nuts. Yeah. So we got that, but like I guess the thing is, obviously we're going to do this. So basically what this is, the 2022 year in review for Deep Rock, is we're just going to go through every sort of thing that happened this year. That's not like every patch, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
Like everything of note that is new or news, really. And it is a little bit weird that we're starting with this year. Obviously we don't have a choice because we started this year. But it is, and this is going to be like a recurring theme throughout this, it is one of the weakest years they've had overall.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that. We haven't really been inhibited about that. I mean, it's kind of objective too. If you look at like the update history, it's the lowest number of updates. Oh dear. It's the point is that it's the lowest number of updates they had in a year because it's technically just 2. It's just 2 updates.
Yeah.
As opposed to 2021 was 3 updates, but they were pretty good ones. They included Season 1 and New Frontiers, and that little one in between. So 2021 was not too far
Modest
off.
expectations, right?
But then you look at fucking 2020, it actually had 5. And it's right behind that in 2019.
Yeah.
7 updates. 2018 we might as well just ignore because of the number.
Yeah.
I mean, that was also alpha launch. They were really getting into it then. But you'll see, because we're going to go through sort of a lot of individual things that happened this year, but also give a broader opinion too. And I said it's objective, but it is also my opinion. It's one of their weaker years so far.
Yeah, and I feel like we'll be able to summarize that at the end. Like we can, once we've gone through everything, we can objectively point out the just lack in some areas. While also being obviously not areas where are completely lacking. There are ways that this year was far and beyond other years. But
I could immediately. Well, yeah, we will. But I could immediately point one out. I mean, I guess having 2 massive drops of cosmetics to unlock, separate from each other. Season 1 only had 1 of those, and that was the first season, and that bled into this year anyway. So we've had sort of a season pass going on, for all throughout 2022.
Yeah.
Just constant content to unlock. I mean, it's not constant for me. I'm actually at level 99. Or I'm about to unlock the Plague Mask. I'm going to try, well, I guess not try, because I'm not... I can just play something else, because I've been playing Skyrim recently. That's working. But I don't actually want to finish it before the end of the year. Or if I do, I guess maybe on the day. I don't know.
Well, we're going to be streaming tomorrow, aren't we? So
yeah, definitely.
So you probably have...
Yeah. I think. Okay, we'll get to that. New Year's resolutions. No, because I wanted to do was Deep Rock's New Year's resolutions.
Right.
Although this might, because of how long we've been going on for, especially all of that chat we just had about not Deep Rock. This will probably be next week's podcast where we do what we want to see from in 2023 from Deep Rock,
Yeah,
the things that we want the most. Yeah. Unless, obviously, I think the roadmap dropping before then, it wouldn't throw a wrench in the works, actually, because we could easily do a podcast on that. But also, so I'll get this out there right away, in case the roadmap drops before the next podcast. What we want to see from the roadmap,
Yeah.
And for me, it's literally just the ideal is it's a roadmap for 2023, right?
Yeah.
Which is what they should be doing. But the minimum, the thing that I just want, that I'll just be happy with, is just it at least shows that they planned something for the not the next update, one after the next, something.
Yeah, I just want a season 5 with something in it. I want
season 5 to not be completely unknown going into season 4.
Yeah.
I just want them to plan more than one update ahead. That's all I want to see.
Yeah. Well, because I don't know, because I assume when they decided to do primary season 1, they obviously knew they were going to do secondary season 2.
Yeah,
that was something
exactly.
that was a given, right? But as we've established, this is related since it was this year, grenades was a logical next step, but not a good one. It was, equipment-wise, you haven't got grenades in a while. We're giving you guys equipment each season, so here, just have grenades. That was kind of the logic there. However, as we're probably going to talk about later, it didn't exactly meet the same level as the weapons. So they might want to think about it a little bit more this time round, the equipment
and additions. That's also what I mean, because I think I did say recently that's the stuff that they should be planning further ahead. That's the stuff that they should know what they're going to be adding in the next few seasons, arguably, because they did. and I think it worked for season 1 and 2 that they already knew that season 2 is going to contain new secondaries.
Yeah.
But obviously they didn't at that point. They probably didn't know what they were going to do for season 3. They sort of probably finished season 2. It's like, what have we got to do next? Instead of like looking to the community. Although obviously the community was so focused on the weapons, the next on the list hadn't really sprung up. Obviously now it has, so we're in a very reasonable position to assume that what's next will be perks or overclocks.
The writing is on the walls that it. I would argue there is a lot more calling for perks and overclocks, Harry, because obviously we do the Q&A.
No, I agree. There's more for
and
that.
Regularly asked for perks, but actually there is not. Like in the last 2 months that we did those videos, no one has actually asked for more overclocks. I don't think.
It can't be no one, because I feel like I've seen it. I would have probably stopped talking about it if I hadn't seen it. I think it's just generally there, and also the fact that they do just kind of work on new overclocks from time to time. Like they had prototypes. I think it was for season 3. Which, by the way, if they'd got like any new overclocks in season 3, that would have made it so much better.
I think grenades and overclocks would have been very solid, but obviously we didn't get that.
But it's just like, I mean, they just said there was prototyping a few. It wasn't ever going to be one for every weapon. But at the same time, I think that idea that they were just prototyping a few sort of just random overclocks they come up with, I mean, that's almost like the ideal of what we want every season, like just a couple new overclocks. Or it's a good option at least, and it's something that can work alongside other additions. You can get the grenades and then just like a few random overclocks here and there. Ideally, like an equal amount for each class, but not like
maybe
a massive
like
dump.
one for a primary, one for a secondary in each character, and it's
I'd love to see that. You know, like if we could get updates like a bit more frequently, like the 4-month thing, and it was like you would also get this alongside whatever else they're adding to. It's just like you get one for the primaries and secondaries, and it goes in terms of like Gen 1, Gen 2, and then Gen 3. It goes like that. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah. That would be a nice way of breaking it down for not only the players, so you know kind of what to expect. Like each year you're going to get a new wave of overclocks, but also for the devs, you know, to have that, because they like knowing what they need to make for the next one, which I don't blame them, right? Like they know they have to make a framework for each season, because they do.
Oh yeah.
So if they know that they have to have like 2 overclocks ready for each class, like each season, I think that'll be somewhat stable.
8 in total. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously.
I think that is very, very reasonable. Yeah, I mean, what you just said, that's actually a good idea. Where if that just became a part of their like seasonal model, then that would even just make seasons better if they just stay at there every 6 months. Speaking of which, obviously, considering we haven't got a roadmap yet, it is arguably up in the air as to how long the next season's going to take. But at the same time, we're sort of getting strangely good vibes from certain things that they've said. Perhaps a sort of recognition, but it's just like,
because maybe this roadmap, because obviously what we're hoping for is that we get more than just a month, or not a month, one season's worth. And I feel like the fact that they're waiting until the beginning of the new year, maybe that means they want to have a little bit more time to plan it out. And so they'll release the roadmap at like the beginning of the year, and it will tell us the rest of the year. It'll be the year roadmap, which is what most other games do normally, but Deep Rock doesn't.
It also means that they don't really have to do, well, they probably would have to do another one, because the way, even if they did it, it wouldn't be like, you wouldn't see season 5 or, you know, dare I say 6, you wouldn't see those planned out on that roadmap. Like, you'd see at most like one thing that season 5 will have, you know. So they would still do another roadmap, but closer.
Yeah,
to
maybe it's like it'll be like they release it. It's like season 4 perks, and it's like season 5. Ooh, it should be weird if the equipment got improved and like some vague.
I wouldn't mind that.
Like,
that'd be kind of funny.
Yeah, some like just some like mystery, like, or not mystery, like vague, but like vague in the way that they know what they're adding, but they don't want to tell you yet, right? As long as we can get the confirmation that they are planning ahead a little bit more, that'll be pretty cool. Because I think we should try and get on topic like now, but like because that I think is where season 3 fell a little bit behind. It was the pre-thought planning of at least the equipment. But yeah, I think we should start going through the year now.
Yeah. Before we do that, I'm gonna go for a piss.
All right then.
Golly, Miss Molly, it's a. I'm about to blow. Sorry about that, everyone. That was a bit vulgar. All right, back in a moment.
In action.
Yep, we are now.
All right. Yeah. So, how long have we managed to not talk about the year in review? How long are we in now?
Do you actually want me to tell you?
Nah, it's fine.
All right. Okay.
All right. So, first thing, you have it pulled up. I have it there, but I'm not sure if I can. First thing this year was the Chinese New Year, right?
The Lunar Festival event.
Yeah.
Which was interesting, except it wasn't. It was like, good news, the Lunar Festival's made its way to Hoxie's. I don't know why they weren't celebrating it before. It was just dressed up, very Chinese New Year, but it was also based on, like, in universe, it was like based on like a lunar convergence of the Hoxie system, which is interesting, actually. I just wanted to bring up the fact that obviously, yeah, it's Hoxie's 4, but I didn't think about that. That's because it's actually just because it's the 4th planet in the Hoxie's solar system. And that at this time of year that they converge. Although I don't think a convergence is something that happens every year, though. So we'll see. Maybe they won't do it this year or next year.
I'll be honest with you. It wouldn't hurt if they didn't.
No, it wouldn't, unless obviously they just came out and it was like good.
Yeah,
with a lot more stuff. But that's kind of the point. You look at the contrast between like, because like the things that capped off this year, the things that started it and ended it, are 2 holiday events that are like complete opposite ends in terms of the content spectrum, where the Lunar Festival was actually the least, I think.
I feel like we should.
Yuletide was the most.
We should say it out loud, because maybe some people won't know. The Lunar Festival event gave you 1 hat.
1 hat.
And that was it.
Look at this: 12,500 credits, 450 crafting minerals, 20 brewing ingredients, 1 overclock infused matrix core, 1 cosmetic infused matrix core, and 1 themed headwear. It's like, oh great.
Yeah, it's basically a weekly assignment with a headgear or whatever. But I think it's worth mentioning that if this event doesn't return, you won't be able to get that hat, and that's going to be a thing. It might become a very rare hat, and they don't like doing that. Like they don't like locking hats behind like can never get walls other than like the anniversary hats.
Well, actually, yeah, you're right. Because I'd like to mention Oktoberfest, but I think they put like because obviously the Oktoberfest wasn't a yearly thing. They did it in like 2018 and also this year. Those have been the only Oktoberfest so far. They brought it back, in a big way. But I think you could buy the hat from the first one, like in the shop. It had been there for a while at least.
Yeah.
Not since then, but like at some point this or last year they'd added it. Just as something you can just buy.
Yeah. So I guess it's a question of whether or not. Do you know if the hat is in the shop? I doubt you would. We got it, but
I don't think so. I'm going to say no. I feel like I would take note of that sort of mentally. I don't know where exactly it would be mentioned, but I don't know. I don't think people care about it too much. At the same time, it's not a bad hat. I'm sure you can imagine it. No, it's not great. I mean, it's a good idea. Sort of it's quite stereotypical, like the Chinese like sensei wide brim. Wide brim. That character.
Yeah.
But it's good. I mean, I think it could be in some ways. It's like it doesn't need like the thing that comes down onto the chin, and it also doesn't need, in my opinion, the feathers on top either. But it's like cool because it's also a scale brigade hat, which is just kind of weird. I like the Scale Brigade. Sort of like this, that's one of their really obscure sort of pieces of lore. It's just this sort of this group that exists in universe, and I don't know why this hat is associated with them as well. Either way, yeah. The point is really is that this event came out of nowhere to be the first time that they did it, but it's also like objectively weaker than most other events because I think like even before this, like Easter even had 2 hats. Every Easter, Halloween, and Christmas, you always got at least 2 hats. You got 2 hats, and then it's just like this thing comes along, its first iteration, and it's just there's nothing really added, and it's just 1 hat.
Yeah,
it's a bit weird.
It just feels weird. Like why?
It's just right after season 1.
Why add a new event just to kind of half-ass it?
Yeah, I agree.
Like it'd arguably just better to like not have done that really, not waste your time. Which is why I am an advocate for just add the hat to the shop and don't do it again next year.
Add the hat to the shop on the day, but don't do the event. Like on the day that it started, like 2023. Like it'd be like a year later on the day they add it to the shop, but it's not like the event's there. It's just the hat to the shop.
Yeah, I think we'll know really, won't we? Like, yes. But how long do we get warnings that like an event's being added to the game?
That's also the weird thing about this one. There wasn't really an announcement either.
Yeah,
like it is really a really strange one, and it's a really strange start to 2022.
It feels like someone there was just like, fuck it, I'm doing this. And then they did it. And they were like, okay, I guess we'll add it.
Yeah, you think it's like one guy.
Yeah, it was just the person that, like, I don't know, just, yeah.
Do you know
what
I want to know? I want to know how long it takes to put assignments together. Because, you would assume, like, no time. You'd assume there's literally like a dev tool where they can just, like, it's like an assignment maker. Where it's just like, they just pick a number and they just choose, like, the mission types or whatever. You would assume it's very, very simple.
Yeah.
And it probably is. That's probably not a part of it. Because it's not like... I don't necessarily... I'm not a fan of the idea of the events, the holiday events being used to tide people over between seasons. But I still agree that it's kind of pointless to do one when there's this little content in it. Which is kind of, a bit backwards for me to sort of be on both sides of the fence.
Yeah.
Am I on both sides of the fence?
If they add it, they're gonna have to add it to like at least equal level to like Oktoberfest or like.
Yeah, I think Oktoberfest is that. We'll get to that, but I actually think that is ideally, as long as it doesn't impede them in any other way, that is the ideal benchmark, I think, for these events.
Yeah,
I still want to see them branch out in the types of cosmetics they add. Like, don't do hats, do something else. Instead of Christmas where it's like everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, Oktoberfest is like the right amount, I think.
But yeah, I think if we surely going off of this year alone, it was a bad start. Is that
a bad start though?
Well, it's just it wasn't anything.
It's not like we went into the year with nothing. Season 1 was the last thing that happened. Well, it wasn't last. There was Christmas before that, obviously. But we just got season 1.
Like it didn't feel like anything.
It probably just went completely over everyone's heads. Exactly. So you sort of just wonder what the point of it was.
Yeah. And it's only in retrospection, like in this regard, and looking at it, and it's like this is the beginning of the year. Like I barely remember this event even occurring. First of all, but then yeah.
But they also they had already started teasing season 2 by this point. I should point out.
Yeah,
the Lunar Festival was started on the 27th of January, and that's when they put out like the teaser for the Bolt Shark.
I think it's also worth noting that our channel started this year, so we were basically making videos for like most of everything we're going to be talking about. I'm not sure we actually did a video on the Lunar New Year stuff. That was still early stages, but yeah.
No, I think it was basically it was actually around then because we did a video on the Bolt Shark teaser.
Yeah, well, because
at the same time. We just didn't bother with the event because why would we? Because
I started this channel for like the New Year's resolution. It was just do a YouTube video once every week, and so we started doing that. So it did start the beginning of this year, but we didn't really cover news at that point. It was just we just did some like tier lists, and then but eventually, we started
Some of
spreading
which
out.
actually did really well. In
Yeah.
terms of views.
Yeah. So, yeah. Everything we say, I guess you can actually go back and grab a at the time opinion from ours, which is kind of interesting, I guess. But well, I guess from now on, I don't think we talked about the Lunar New Year. But yeah, I think it's just worth mentioning that this year of Deep Rock was also our year of Deep Rock, like where we actually was paying full on attention and making videos on it.
It's a weird combination of us becoming hyper analytical of the game, possibly spoiling it in a way, but also objectively thinking that it is one of the weaker years they've had, because I do. It's a weird combination where it's like, maybe we are biased in a certain way, but I mean, I don't think I would think. I don't think just because we're more like aware of the game means that we wouldn't be aware of the fact that this year is not as good as I don't know. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know.
Yeah, well, it
I don't
is
think
a
that would
thing
change
where
much.
putting things under like a microscope and like really going in depth on it, like whenever it releases, it does change the experience.
It was the first video, Tyler, was our passive perks tier list.
I know.
1st of January. Yeah. Does that mean we have to redo that?
I was thinking maybe, although I'm not. I don't want to do the tier list first, but it wasn't long after that we did the primaries, and that's
primary weapons exactly. Did you know that one's got over 2,000 views?
Yeah, I mean, this is primary guns.
It's also got like 32 likes to 22 dislikes.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's another reason why I want to do it next year is because our tier list is probably going to be quite different.
Yeah, it's like a year later. It was when was it? 7th of February. Well, we won't actually wait that long, I don't think.
No, I think it'll be the first video. It's the first video I want to do. Wait. The first video will be on a Tuesday, though.
Yeah.
But
that'd be great. Shield generator overclocks. I actually like those.
Well, I thought we were going to do the engineer stuff first.
No.
Okay.
Specifically for the tools, it was going to be the support tools, then the traversal tools.
Alright.
Yeah. Kind of weird, though. Anyway, where were we? Because we still on the first thing that happened in 2022.
Yeah, but it wasn't much of a thing. So let's move on to the next thing, which at this point I don't know.
It's something. What do you mean you don't know?
I don't know what the next thing is.
Oh,
is it the anniversary stuff?
No, it's actually something to do with the board game. So this would be interesting, as in if we're actually going to talk about this or not. I think. Oh, the Kickstarter hadn't even gone live at this point. So this was sort of like an update on the board game Kickstarter. The anniversary event, I don't know why they need to give it like an update on that, and season 2. So they gave a date when the Kickstarter would launch, which is the 10th of January, for the board game. They're talking about the anniversary for some reason. Like, since this is almost tradition now, well, it is tradition. Status on season 2, everything is moving along nicely. That's not really like a thing. This specifically, this is just like, this is when the Kickstarter goes live, and telling us they haven't forgotten about everything else. But the board game was a pretty big thing that did happen this year.
Yeah,
when it kind of happened.
It actually, I think it started getting dropped during Christmas, right? Like, it actually started getting released, like very close to Christmas.
Yeah.
For some people.
Yeah, but neither of us did anything about it.
Yeah, because you need like a 3D printer to actually like really play the game.
What?
You need to like 3D print the models yourself.
What?
Yeah.
Dumb.
Yeah.
That's pretty weird. That's kind of weird, man.
It's actually, for some reason, a lot of people have 3D printers nowadays.
That's weird too.
Yeah.
That's
I
not.
don't know.
That's weird, man. That's weird. Weird,
We
guys.
might get it at some point.
Every
But
time I think
for
about the
now,
board game, I think, how would we like record a session of like playing it? And I think that'd be a fucking nightmare.
yeah.
Basically, what I'm saying is, I'd love to see like a digital version of it. That would actually be pretty cool. And I know that's just like, oh, that's just the game.
I think there is a
No, it
digital
wouldn't
version.
be. Someone might have made it. Someone made a mod. They put it in the game. You can play it on the space rig. And there's something else it just completely disappeared from my mind. Something I was thinking about. I was going to search up. Oh yeah, I remember now. It was those grenades. You remember, like the board game had like quite a few like grenades in it that aren't in the game.
The game had to make up a lot of stuff because it kept meeting like records to add more stuff.
But I think like a lot of people just assumed when they saw that we'd get new grenades in season 3. It's just like, oh, they got some right here. And I would still like to see them. I wish that they did these because they already had sort of these things laid out. They just put them in alongside the ones that we got in season 3. That would be cool. You got like the tunnel carver. Actually, see, this is very specific though. Like this is like specific to like the board game mechanics. You've got a grenade called the tunnel carver, and it says removes all walls, minerals, and stalagmites, free spaces in a straight line. But yeah, it's like a tunnel boring grenade. This was just an electrocution grenade. A soil smasher, which is basically what the HE is meant to be. It's really just a central charge. And then the corrosive bomb, which is obviously like, yeah, it could have been a corrosive grenade. Why not? But it wasn't. Either way, the board game does seem pretty cool, but it's just like, I don't. Seems like effort to get like your hands on and also to play. So
Yeah.
not worried about that.
So that was kind of just going on in the background this entire year. Was that earning money and being made and getting promoted and stuff like that. I don't think we'll talk about it more than we already have though, since we're not that interested in it.
Yeah, the next thing is a bit weird though because they started doing this thing where it's like full on Steam posts for like new weapon revealed, and it's like the thumbnail for the Steam post is like the coil gun revealed, and it's also but it was alongside the Kickstarter going live, so that happened. Like the new secondary weapon, the Armscore coil gun, and they also said, "Oh yeah, don't worry guys, the 40th anniversary is still on track." It's like, why are you giving updates on this? I don't understand. I don't get it.
I don't know.
And then it says, oh, rumour has it that management has allocated additional budget to something special. We hear it might be balloons.
That for the anniversary thing,
Yeah. And it's like, what? What is that? Is that them trying to drum up excitement or just being silly little guys? I don't because that's not exciting. Balloons. If we can pop them, we could pop them actually, couldn't we?
So
I have like quite recent memories of like popping the balloons in the space rig, but that was in February.
My.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Well, so we shouldn't really go through all those things. What's like the actual thing next? Is it the anniversary event?
Yes. Yes, it is.
All right.
Yes, the 4-year anniversary event. 4 years in orbit. New assignment. Hats and balloons. Fuck. What? What is the problem? Why are they so obsessed with the balloons? Like a tagline for the Steam post. It's like balloons. It's like, great. Balloons. Could we maybe get this implemented in some like interesting way? Maybe someone came up with some kind of, I don't know actually, a balloon grenade. I mean, there's not really anything to point out though about this anniversary. That's the thing. They're just like, oh, there's balloons. Okay, do you remember what happened last year? Do you remember what happened last? Do you remember the 3-year anniversary? Do you know what you did? You added Scale Brigade. You added full on armor sets and a whole set of frameworks.
Yeah, I think that is definitely a L on this year.
Or it's just a
Like,
massive W for that year because it's not.
well, yeah, I
It
guess.
was a bit of
But
an anomaly.
games don't tend, yeah, but they don't tend to get worse or add less, or that, but you know what I mean. But like, yeah, I don't know. It's still, they set our expectations pretty high, 2021,
Yeah, by
and
adding like the
and
best armors in the game
yeah,
or a
yeah, and
anniversary.
framework and all that stuff. Meanwhile, yeah, this year we got Hang Out to Dry, and we got like it was like an anniversary hat, right? Which is always terrible, but it is what it is.
It was
Uh,
2 hats actually, Tyler.
yeah,
It was like the sort of the weird green like jester hat. I think that's the one that had the 4 on it, and then it was also the beer hat. Or am I getting
right,
confused?
maybe.
I might be getting confused. The jester type one might have been from the previous. I think it was actually. I'm going to check right now.
All right.
Oh shit! I'm in a mission. I can't. That's from last night. Quick resume, baby. Well, there you
Yeah.
go. Anyway, it's like yeah, that's the next thing there. But it's just an anniversary event. At least like the Lunar Convergence was weird. Like it was this thing that came out of nowhere. To have things to say about it, but it's just another
But
anniversary.
yeah, so
At the
far,
same time, obviously, we're forgetting what the anniversary event also means is the anniversary live stream.
yeah.
That's the juicy stuff. And it was. So I don't know how we're going to really talk about that. And it's not like it revealed anything that's like that we can sort of use to predict anything now. A lot of the stuff that we saw has sort of been used up, really. Except I think there was still a lot of frameworks like in the background that's just like either may or may not be used in the future. Bunch of weird little things, weird little guys. And obviously DRG historian did like a deep dive into that. We might do the same thing. We might copy him.
It's
Although
always a
we
good
would
shout.
do a worse job. I'm just pointing that out. But also
Yeah.
there'd be 2 of us.
Is that better?
Not always. I don't know if it's better. I just know it's our thing. I just know it's...
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I think the anniversary stream is always hype because like dev streams normally whenever they get asked questions they're pretty vague about it. They're not really willing to answer. It's not that big an event. But in anniversary
they're
streams,
also the guys. I don't know what their roles actually are, to be honest. The guys who do the stream, but they're not at the top. They're not at like the very top, and they're also playing the game. The anniversary stream is like the 2 highest up guys doing a
yeah,
dedicated Q&A.
yeah,
It's a bit of a cut
you
above
basically
normal dev streams.
you get to basically pitch your. Well, it's mainly questions, but like you get to send a message straight to the head of the company, basically.
Mickle, yeah.
Yeah. Who is he also mission control?
No, we debunked that many times.
Oh.
No, I mean he is in a sense. You know, I like Mickle.
Yeah.
He seems pretty good. I'm not. I was about to say I'm not a big fan of the other guy. That's not really fair. I just like Mickle more. It's just like
It's just Mickle has such
Mickle's
a presence.
also pretty, pretty.
Harry's got a crush on Mickle.
I'm just a guy. I am a no. I was about to say I'm a straight man. Like when you point that out, it makes it sound very insecure. But it's just like I can respect another man's attractiveness. And from what I've seen, Mickle is probably the most handsome man at that company.
Oh.
I'll leave it there. I don't know that. I need to see more. I need to see more of them. I need to see the rest of the guys. Yeah,
just
judge them.
Go ship if you're listening. Send us a portfolio of all your employees.
We'll do a video on it.
And Harry will do a tier list on the attractiveness.
Ranking Go Ship employees in terms of attractiveness. Just all the women right at the bottom. Oh, that's not fair. I'm sorry. But it was funny.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean the anniversary in game isn't anything that special other than obviously last year, like the 2021 one. But yeah, the dev stream was pretty hype as always. They do like obviously the Q&A, the art stream or whatever that is, stuff like that. Point is, it's cool, and I look forward to the one coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, and I think there's more like good reason to feel that way, because the next thing that happened was the title reveal for season 2. That was sort of the next big thing, because it happened during the anniversary live stream. And now, obviously, considering how sort of weird we are about how paranoid we can get about this game, or how I can get, it would be like, what if there's nothing?
Well, I think is though
this time around, it's just like
they kind of had to release the title very late on because it would give everything away, right? Like Playful would have just been like boom shakalaka immediately. But in last year's anniversary stream, it was revealing season 2, which was just Rivals again. So it wasn't really giving anything away. It was just Rival Incursion.
Yeah, that was kind of the reveal. That was the main reveal of that. Like we kind of knew what season 3 was about before we got the title.
Yeah,
it was the other way around for season 2 though. Getting the title sort of told us, oh, Rivals again. They're still here.
Right.
They're still
Rivals are sticking around. Yeah. So we could see a title reveal, especially if they intend to do the plague stuff again.
Like poetry. It rhymes.
Yeah, I really do think they should, but obviously I can't really change their minds if they don't want to. Like if they feel like scrapping everything and trying to start again, I wouldn't blame them.
I thought we were. I mean, I'm of the opinion, but I thought we were sort of both of the opinion that we want to see season 4 be a fairly straight-laced sequel season in the vein of season 2, but we would want them to see going into direction for season 5 or the next update.
Yeah, but I wouldn't blame them if they pull that a bit forward because they'd rather not just do an obligatory.
No, if they don't have the passion for the Rockport stuff, that's fine, and I'd rather see them. I want to see them try something else anyway. So we'll see.
But we'll see your next anniversary stream. But the anniversary stream this year was what he revealed, right? Title, art, Q&A, which was always cool. It's always a good time. But the in-game event of the anniversary this year was less than last year. So that is a summary of that.
Oh yeah.
Moving on.
Well, yeah, but it's weird. They say things like, "Oh, season 2 will have a completely new performance pass." It's like, yes, with an even bigger cosmetic tree. It's like, yeah, there's new weapons, so there'll be more, like at least 4 more things in the cosmetic tree. I don't know. It's a bit funny.
Well, they've got to build hype, and that's a very easy way of doing it, right? Like, obviously, if you think about it for a second, they're not really actually saying anything that new, but they're also not wrong. They're not lying. And they're building hype.
I guess it just shows I have pretty poor instincts for someone who thinks I'm probably going to have to be like a copywriter, but just someone who writes like copy text, which is like flavor text for like companies, like the blurb that you get on like a product, not a book, something else. Like they sort of have like a tasteful description of like a bag of like some tea. It's like text.
Yeah, chocolate sponge with Belgian melted chocolate in the middle, with sprinkled white chocolate flakes, that kind of stuff, right?
Yes, I think it goes a little bit beyond that. But it's just like I have sort of I guess an intolerance for exaggeration.
Stating facts in a way too grand for them to deserve.
Yeah, but this isn't about them. This is just about Readout. I have a weird aversion to exaggeration. It's just like I just don't exaggerate things, and I can't either. That's why there's so little clickbait on our channel, which I'm trying to sort of change, which is a bit of a weird thing to say, but everyone knows that YouTube is clickbait. It's like, yeah, I'm way too formal, I think.
Yeah, you just, it's just,
in the
we
way
just
that I
say
brand
what it
videos.
is.
Yeah, yeah. Could do better. Obviously, I think a podcast, that's fine, kind of. I mean, podcasts don't usually clickbait. They're, or at least the titles will have some formality to them, where it's like episode number and like podcast name. You'll still have that.
Yeah.
But like, a lot of YouTubers do like series where they don't say what series the video is a part of. But it's just like, it's just a random title. Like Snow, that's what Snow and Fate does. That's all he does. It's just like, how good is this overclock now? And it's just like, it's like, oh, this is the best build you've ever used, and that's the whole title. It's like, what? I need to see this.
Yeah, Reaper On partakes in the clickbait as well.
Oh yeah. Those guys. Oh, those cheeky little fellas.
Yeah. But yeah, let's move on. I'm beginning to lose
consciousness. You can't even finish the words. Well, the next thing's the board game again. It was them saying that it was going to end. It was the announcement that there were 48 hours left on the of the Kickstarter, which is lovely. And yes, season 2 is still on its way. Yeah, they just put that thing in. So that's not actually news. It's not even. That's not even. Oh my god, it's the anniversary stream. Right there. We can't do anything with that, really, can we?
No.
I don't know why they put that stuff in. Like, this was March 10th, this Steam post. And it was like, oh, the anniversary event is over. I think that is actually when it ends. It starts on like the 25th of February or something. That's like 2 weeks. 24th of February. That makes sense, I suppose. And then they post the streams. So we could, no, we're not going to, but still, they're right there, and they show a lot of cool concept art, like even for like the previous stuff. Like I'm looking here, this is like Hurricane concept art. There's one where it looks like a straight up RPG. It's kind of funky. But yeah, they did that. Oh, apparently they hit another milestone, which was 100,000 Steam reviews. 97% of those being positive. We consider this a birthday gift from you, our players. Oh, that's nice. We haven't left Steam reviews.
It's because you don't have it on Steam.
Wait, hold on. You do have to have it to review it, don't you?
I think so, yeah.
That makes sense.
I don't know if we've left a Microsoft review or based whatever the stories review.
Do you remember mine? It just said diggy diggy hole, and then I said buy the game like 3 times. That was in like 2018 as well, when like it really wasn't recommendable. For being honest.
Yeah, it was rough back then, but yeah.
Oh look, Easter.
Easter.
This is the season 2 DLC reveal and Easter. Did they do a DLC reveal for season 1? Well, I guess they did. But yeah, still, I remember where I was on the when they revealed, because the season 2 DLC was Robo Rebellion, sort of the the Mad Max armor. Yeah. You've got that helmet on actually. Your guy, look at that.
I like that helmet.
I don't. Actually, I like the half face more than the full face one.
Same.
But do you agree with that for Dark Future? Because it's right there. I use the half face here.
I actually think I prefer the full one more.
That's because you're right. I remember I was in Devon, on a mountainside. It wasn't a mountain; it was just a pretty big hill. Just walking, and I was like, had it on my phone. I was using my mobile data. I was like trying to watch this premiere. That's pretty funny.
So I probably did the news video for that, then, didn't I?
Yeah.
Imagine.
Yes. That was pretty cool. But obviously, This was also Easter, the Great Egg Hunt, which actually this isn't nothing.
That was a pretty cool step in a direction.
It was also something that was kind of, I guess you could say what they did for the Easter event was kind of left behind, but also probably transformed to what we got in the later events. So what they did this year for there's not much to say about the hats. I don't mind the eggshell hat actually. It's just very simple because it's still silly, but I don't want to wear fucking bunny ears. So I kind of respect the eggshell hat as an Easter hat. But either way, the point of what they did with the Easter event this year was like, first of all, the assignment was just all egg hunt. Start with that, which is, I don't mind that actually because I like egg hunt.
That was the first time they actually experimented with assignments in that way, and arguably the only. No wait, they kept it up during the seasons.
Yeah, you're right actually, because even like season 1, it's just like, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't really call it experimental that you have to do the new mission in the assignment.
Yeah.
But then obviously season 2, that's pretty shortly after this Easter event. But the assignment is, it sort of folds in like a forced salvage op and also a forced industrial sabotage at the end. But the rest of it is just any mission with but it's like rival presence. It's just rival presence, but it could be any mission. That's pretty cool.
Which was something they only actually really did then.
What do you mean?
They haven't. I mean, season 3 was it all plague?
It was all lithophage outbreaks. Every single mission, I think, which is a bit weird. Could have maybe done something else.
I guess they have kept it up, but they didn't really bother with the Christmas and the Oktoberfest.
Yeah, but like I said, that's what I said about sort of things not necessarily being abandoned, but ideas sort of being translated into something else or transformed because there are other things going on there. But the thing is, the Easter thing, the assignment is all egg hunts, and the eggs were Easter eggs.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's another thing. That's sort of the first implementation of there sort of being, when it comes to it's a different kind of collectible. It's not really collectible because it's still just the mission objective. It's not like extra, but I think the DNA is there for what we would see later. That's what I'm saying. In Oktoberfest and Yuletide.
Yeah,
not Halloween.
I would argue that was more on the lines of pumpkins and presents spawning in missions more than elves and mugs. I think it was more on the.
It's closer to the mug than the elf. But yeah, I agree with you. I think.
Yeah.
Well done.
It was more just a light holiday tinkering with a game mode than an event.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the Easter was a step up.
Wasn't a bad Easter.
For sure.
Good Easter.
Yeah.
I mean, what even is Easter? Honestly, I think Easter is actually the one I think about the least. I often forget that they even do Easter in Deep Rock. Even though I like Easter, kind of. Easter's a bit funny. A bit funny, isn't it? Funny time. But yeah, I mean, obviously, the assignment thing it's not insignificant. So they're playing around with having assignments to do things, not just a random selection of missions. That's interesting, and I like what they've done in that sort of vein since then. To be honest, especially like the season 2 assignments. But moving on from that, I think next is actually season 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just realised when you just get into the big stuff.
Yeah.
But we did do sort of pretty full on podcasts on season 2 and 3, obviously.
2.
But we got season 2 here. Let's go through it step by step, shall we? Well, we don't need to spend a lot of time on each thing. But obviously we had the new event. It mentions the rival signal event. I think that's what you meant to call it. I mean, it's a communications router, but it's called the rival signal event. And yeah, it was pretty weird at first. I know that we sort of agree that it's become quite trivial, but Was it really hard at first? I don't even remember.
I couldn't do it.
You couldn't.
I just couldn't until the one time I could do it, and then they nerfed it the next day. And since then, it's been piss as hell. And I think that was really the first step towards them giving the fuck up on robots. Oh, like fuck it, we'll nerf it. People stop complaining. Let's move on.
Yeah, because they did that sort of pre-season 3, which is like it was already a bit like that. Because I think it only spawned shredders anyway. I don't think it even did anything else. But it was still a pretty cool event. I actually think it might be my favorite out of the rival ones, at least.
Yeah.
Where you sort of just got to go around, find the things, and hack the things. And I like the hacking mini game. I like that it will explode if you don't do it in time. I like that it's like a high tension bomb defusal thing, even though the tension's sort of been stripped away.
Yeah, it's a bit call-locky, and its difficulty depends on the terrain, which is always fun.
Yeah, but it's not like a call-lock in any other way.
Obviously, yeah.
I mean, in some ways, on a very base sort of like structural level, like there's like a core, like a bunch of smaller things coming off of it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, sure, why not?
It's more. I was just making a comparison that like its difficulty could be like piss because it's all like on the floor and job done, or it could be like near to impossible because it's in like 3 separate caves, several different levels, like platforms, the scouts, and all that stuff. Which, if you're like just a single gunner, you really couldn't do. Which was a complaint I remember hearing.
Yeah, that's from noobs.
But yeah,
guys who suck.
As mentioned, it's always been the case that the terrain will shape how easy or hard something is. Same with the Warlock, same like, with the Tritolite.
It's
but
almost,
no one compares about that.
It's almost just trivial now, but like especially with a scout. If you're a scout, I mean, you're also expected to just do it all. You're a scout, which is fair.
Yeah.
By the way, that's very fair. Good luck with that, scouts. I also like that it I just like the hacking thing in general. Just that concept, that mechanic, especially because it's like a mini game and there's different versions of it, not even different versions, different mini games. You basically play this little device, and it's not like it's one use for each either. I mean, I would love it if like every single instance of hacking was like a different one, but it's just like what is it? What was it in season 1? Was it just the patrol bots?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it is actually, and I think that's actually what I liked about season 2. It was a bit more on the forefront. Where it's just like one of the events is all about hacking, and obviously the rival presence warning's got a pretty big reason to do some hacking. You know, moving on to that though, the rival presence warning. Do you remember how you sort of felt when you found out it was going to be a warning? Did you feel disappointed? Perhaps?
I don't think I did.
I think I kind of did. I think I was a little bit sort of I think I was still very optimistic at that time. Just like, okay, let's just see. I mean, because I think the trailer didn't really showcase it properly either, because I didn't know the turret controller was a thing until sort of people got their hands on the experimental branch. It's like, oh, that's actually pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, it's just rival swarm. It's like, no, there's actually like, it's not force, but it's actually this very significant encounter that utilizes the turrets. And because I thought originally it was gonna be like, oh, it'll just be turrets dotted about the cave, but no, because like, this implementation of it is much better as well. And honestly, I still think rival presence might be my favorite mutator, which is a bit of a weird thing to say because it's not like I want to do it all the time. I'm not happy just doing rival presences over and over again. But I'm not happy doing any of them over and over again. I just like rival presence a lot. I just think it's a really cool warning.
I think rival presence is the pinnacle of the warnings. It represents like how far warnings should go, which I'll get back to later. But yeah, I don't know. I think rival presences were. They were a step up as far as warnings go, and it was a pretty cool one because obviously they could have just added robots to your cave, right? That was something they could have just done.
Did and on a baseline, it's like, oh, that's just that's just a warning. That's kind of just something that they do, like Terra Plague.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same thing.
Yeah, exploded infestation and all that. Yeah, but they went a step further this time, and they added like a hacking thing, and like made a single room in there like really fucking dangerous, which is pretty cool.
But it's also not like it's not an objective, but it's essentially a forced encounter.
Yeah, like you're not really going to get out of there without dealing with it one way or another. Like some of the turrets are going to have to die. That's kind of an inevitable fact.
Some of you are going to die. That is a risk I am happy to take.
Oh,
what?
That's not very
but
nice.
arguably, it's like a weird sort of thread that they kept chasing for some reason, and it arguably went wrong later down the line when they tried to go even further without realizing that really Rival Presence is not only the pinnacle of like in terms of quality of a warning, it's also sort of like the cap. It's the limit. You can't go further than that.
And still call it a warning.
Yeah.
Is really the point.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into a tad later on.
Yeah.
And
hopefully,
in, like multiple videos and podcasts in the past couple weeks, months, whatever.
By that point, Tyler has fallen asleep because we don't need to hear that again. Because we don't.
No, yeah.
I'm sure we'll make the point again. But you know, maybe it will vitalize you, or do the opposite. It might completely just finish you. Either way, still on season 2 because of course we got new secondary weapons. Oh yeah!
Wowee!
Wowee! Wow! And to be honest, there's not a lot we can say. I don't want to go through each one individually, really. There's not a lot we can say because we've already said a lot. What I mean, and I think like one of the points that we've been through time again is that we think they are generally better than the primaries of Gen 3. We think they generally did a better job with the secondaries and the primaries. Although some people sort of just hate certain things, hate the wave cooker. And those are what we call silly people. Silly people who need to put soap in their mouths. Either way, it's a combination of just on a base level what weapons add to the game, which season 1 had, but also just them just being of a very high standard, and it just felt great. And it is arguably what carried season 2. I think that's almost inarguable. Not that any of the actual content in season 2 was bad; it was all actually like very good. But the guns objectively represent the majority of it, and they were also very, very high quality, I think, and very experimental too. And I like the fact that not everyone likes them, and I respect the fact not everyone likes them, but I still believe that they are objectively very well designed. I'm pretty happy with that selection that we got there. And it's got fan favorites, crossbow, probably one of the most requested weapons. Just a big laser beam. They were all requests, really, weren't they? When you look at it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think secondaries were definitely they're definitely the best thing they added this year. Like technically, obviously, I like additional small meters.
Yeah.
But like technically, what they did to the game was unparalleled to literally everything else they added. So yeah, this was the year of the secondaries.
That sounds a bit weird. The year of the secondaries. That could be like that's something like I don't know. That sounds kind of racist.
It ain't. Don't worry about that.
No, obviously it's not.
Yes, I was not being racist.
But it's just like you think about when it comes to sort of the community guiding them on what should be the next major edition, and obviously adding the third generation of weapons was almost entirely a community-driven thing. But arguably, every single weapon that was added also was, except the track. Actually, except the Drac and the Sludge Pump, because if we're being honest, those two weren't really called for, were they?
No, people were like Tesla, Tesla, Tesla,
Oh
and
yeah,
that
yeah.
was
For,
kind of
for
it.
Driller, absolutely. Prime weapons like Tesla, Tesla, Tesla. Lightning is the other thing. It's like
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, when you look at like sort of archetypes of like damage types, just in games and in fiction, like fire, ice, and lightning are pretty damn common. I mean, look at Skyrim. That's like the three staples of magic, or staples of destruction magic. But corrosion isn't uncommon either, and I do like that they didn't just do what everyone said they should, because I think it's probably better. I
yeah,
think the Sludge Pump is probably better than what we would have got. I still have cool ideas of what a Tesla gun would have been, but I don't know that they would have done that. And I feel like it needed to be exactly what I imagined for me to be happy with it. But I think the Sludge Pump came out really well. But yeah, like the Drac. I mean, I don't even know what people were like thinking for like a scout primary. I mean, I think they were thinking the crossbow, but I didn't see. I couldn't really point to any other long running request for a scout weapon other than the crossbow. Um, and I mean, not many of like the long-standing weapon requests were really class specific, but there was still like the quantity there. Um, like a missile launcher was, pretty generalized too. Actually, that's the thing that I was going to point out. Is that's another reason why season two was so good, or the second season is so good, is that they were more based in community requests. Like, if we're being honest, when it comes to the season one ones, the Hurricane was the only one, and it wasn't really even that high up. People just kind of wanted it's just a rocket launcher, or just like a mini rocket launcher, or something like that was kind of just thrown about a little bit. I haven't seen anyone sort of bring up a smart rifle. I know that I can't even tell you how many people I've seen who like wanted a rocket rifle. um, yeah, but that's actually an interesting thing to point out because season two really was all just like quests basically. Like crossbow was very up there. Big fucking laser beam just been there forever. Railgun, yep. Even the radiation gun I had seen quite a bit, and it's something that it was an idea that I sort of conceived personally and sort of saw echoed later on. It's like, oh, people also think that there should be some kind of like radiation, like microwave gun. Well, that's nice, and it happened, and I think they really pulled it off. But I also like that they weren't necessarily what people were expecting. I'd argue the Shard Diffractor is the only one that was really like came out exactly how people imagined those weapons. But the others, like the coil gun, isn't used how you'd imagine a railgun would be. At least I don't use it that way. I don't think most people do because its actual damage per shot is it's actually quite good, but it's like it can't get a lot done if you're just using it for single target damage, without very specific like caveats like using mole. It's kind of weird, and then the wave cook is just so weird, and then the crossbow. I don't know if I'd ever seen anyone think of alternate ammo types. I think they just wanted a crossbow. Wasn't much more thought about it. So
yeah,
they just did a fantastic job, and they did a fantastic job at not just them sort of being weapons that were requested, but not doing it not doing the obvious with those weapons. So,
yeah. It's what I mentioned. They do what people want, but in a way that's better than they wanted it.
yeah, and that's
Or
why
like
it's so important that they do what people want, because
yeah,
even when they do what people want, they, like you said, they do it better than exactly what they wanted. And
yeah,
when they don't do what people want, not only are they not doing what people want, chances are it's not as good either.
yeah,
It takes a special combination, but when it works, it really works, and that's sort of I do think that sort of carried season two quite a bit. But like I said, the other elements, we spoke highly of the rival signal event, we spoke highly of the rival presence warning, and we would probably speak highly of Nemesis, although he occupies a bit of a weird space in sort of being the only real enemy added in season two, which is mostly excused by the fact that they pretty much added a whole faction worth, or like a whole species in season one.
Yeah, they just filled the gap of the rivals being a bigger type enemy. That was it. That's all they needed to add, and that's all they did add.
Yeah, sort of their oppressor slash bulk detonator, their middle
Yeah,
ground between the litter and the dreadnought. You
yeah,
know, and it really is. I mean, it goes a little bit beyond that because it's not an event like technically, but encountering a nemesis is always kind of an event.
yeah.
Even when you crush it with a drop pod, that's still kind of like a pretty crazy thing when it happens. Like it's never something you encountering a nemesis, even if it's already dead. It's never something that you gloss over, and that's why I think it's just so well designed because like what it does when it dies. I love the fact that there's an enemy where killing it doesn't feel like a victory. It actually just feels like you've triggered the end times more than anything. Not just because it rains hellfire on you, but because of the things that it says. Because obviously, it really is the first enemy with dialogue. That's a really cool thing that the Nemesis brought. It's pretty wild, actually, when you think about it. Especially considering it hasn't been done since. What if there's just some guy, just like, in like the Rockpox meteor, just some dude? Or it's like a high. Because I imagine it's sort of like the grave mind from Halo, where it's just this conglomeration of all the Rockpox, and it forms a consciousness. It sort of talks in the voices of like everything it's consumed all at once. That might be quite scary though.
It would be a lot of grunt sounds and Praetorian sounds.
But they're trying
so it wouldn't actually make words.
No, it wouldn't be able to make words. Although, considering how mouths are like the only orifice that Glyphids have, you'd think they'd be able to talk. I don't know if that logic makes sense at all, but it's pretty weird when you think about that. But yeah, still, Nemesis. Honestly, I could actually talk. I could give the Nemesis a lot of praise. I could spend a lot of time praising it. I really could. And I remember sort of when season 2 sort of started, particularly not particularly in Experimental Branch, just sort of generally, people kind of didn't like it that much. They were like, this guy's a bullshit. That's just all it was.
Yeah.
It's like, this is a bullshit enemy. It's like,
It's just the most infuriating thing because it's just the only way he was just a detonator that could fly, and if you were sniping him, he can kind of block your shots, right? So he's like a slightly more difficult detonator, like which is something. But it's the fact that I don't know, people always just got pissed about the new things without realizing that their complaints easily can be tied back to older stuff. Like they were complaining about, he grabs you and you get like fucking one shot and there's nothing you can do about it. The amount of enemies in this game that do those exact things. Oh my god, cat just jumped over my mic.
I mean, think about cave leeches.
Exactly.
How many of you can get in a mission, and you can maybe get 2 Nemesis in a mission? Well, I don't, because obviously on Rival Presence, Nemesis can just spawn, but I don't know if it can actually spawn more than one like that way. Obviously, you can get 2 because you can get like a cave generation spawn, and you can get a random spawn. But I don't know if you can actually get more than 2 Nemesises in a mission. It's like you can get like shitloads of cave leeches. You can get theoretically infinite bulk detonators, and grabbers.
It's just I don't know. It just felt like they didn't like New Thing because they didn't know how to fight New Thing. And once New Thing had been around for a while, everyone calmed down about it.
I mean, it did combine sort of to some things that, are a bit iffy. I think, actually, you know what? No, I don't know. It's just generally, control being taken away from the player isn't usually looked at as a great idea. I think Deep Rock generally handles it quite well. The Nemesis is a bit weird because, to be honest, it's pretty hard to gauge like how if you're too close or not without consensus. Like when it's about to grab you, you get that warning, but it's not clear exactly how far away you need to be.
Yeah, really, his arms aren't like the the bubbly radius of a detonator or the arm of actual case. It's kind of a unreadable insta kill, which is an issue, but it's not a new issue. Um,
Well, no, but I do.
it's,
I actually think the detonator handles that quite well. You have that very clear radius. Actually,
yeah,
that's pretty good. And I think really the only thing that Nemesis is missing for me though is the fact that you can't actually destroy the arms. I think because I'm still a bit dubious about this. You can shoot them to like get it to let someone go, can't you? Right?
I think so.
But you
Yeah,
can't actually destroy the arms, and I think you probably should be able to.
considering destruction is kind of part of him, right? That
Yeah,
you
sort
can
of
kind of
taking
tear
them
into
apart
shreds.
piece by piece is sort of actually one of the biggest praises I have of Nemesis. Is sort of the way it handles weak points, where he's got multiple destructible weak points. One of like you'd think, oh yeah, the eye is the weak point, and then you destroy it. It's like no, he's got destructible ones on every side as well, but he's also got armor, and underneath the armor is like the permanent weak point, and it's just like, it creates a pretty cool progression of that fight. Unless you just completely bombard him without thinking, which with some builds you can take care of him pretty damn quickly, even without fire. Um,
Yeah.
but I just like the progression of that fight, and it's just like, and yes, in some scenarios it can be annoying, but I think it's very difficult to design an enemy that is going to be fun to fight in every scenario. Like, yeah, I mean, being in tight corridors isn't great because the barriers get really annoying in those situations. And obviously, it's kind of unfair when a nemesis spawns during at the end of a salvage op when you're doing an uplink or refueling segment. It's kind of unfair.
Yeah.
But that stuff is just part of the fun. The nemesis isn't the nemesis to me. One of the other reasons why you don't get sort of like rewarded for killing it is because it's kind of meant to spell your doom either way. Where
Yeah.
it's just like if a nemesis comes along, you're fucked. Even though you in most scenarios you can take care of it and come out, fine. It's just like conceptually, like I don't mind that there's something that can come along and just rock your shit. And in some scenarios, there's just no preventing it. And I think that's kind of exciting, you know. Although, and I wouldn't say that I've had nemesis spawn during like an uplink module segment too many times. Too many times for it to be annoying. It's happened like 2 or 3 times to me. It's like I don't mind that. It's exciting. And I
Yeah.
like it. It's an exciting enemy. It's tantalizing. I like the way it calls to you in the from a distance. I mean, I don't think anyone really falls for that. Really, some
I
people
think there
do.
were some
I
shit
see.
posts.
Were they shit
Uh,
posts?
Probably. Like you wouldn't ask the Reddit, "Hey, I hear some voices in the distance. Should I go towards them?" You would just do that,
I mean,
right?
I think some people don't. I think some people just don't have those. That.
So what you think they would pause the
Yeah.
game and go on Reddit
No,
and
I don't. I don't really believe it. Actually,
yeah,
I don't believe that there are people who are that uncurious. It's just like, bro, you're playing a game. You found something new. Go, go to it. It's
yeah,
how you play. It's how you like it's how you experience the game. Don't just go and get people to tell you things. I don't quite understand that.
yeah,
I can't really get into the mind of those people. Yeah,
yeah.
Nemesis. Other things from season two. They need two more things really. I mean, we could comment on like the cosmetics and stuff, but that's not really like that's a bit different. That feels more like a specific. That's something you would do at a season two review, and I think we did. It's like they added like the med gowns as like a new feature, which is a bit of a fun. It's a bit of a funny feature.
Phase Unite.
Yeah, med gowns and phase unite. So, and yeah, phase unite really was a curveball, and I really appreciated that. I remember seeing like the description when they posted the premiere for the season two trailer. Oh, it had the description, and it was like, and a new shop-friendly mineral. So, huh?
Yeah,
I
that
beg your,
was like
I beg your
not at all
pardon.
have been like shown in any way, shape, or form. Spoiled up to that point. Pretty rad. And I would
And
say,
it's probably the biggest surprise of the year, actually.
uh, no, it's
Except
Spawn Meteor.
Oktoberfest. Oh yeah, it's more. Sorry. Well, maybe we could do that. The best surprise of the year, but it was a pretty big surprise. Them just adding a new mineral like that,
Yeah,
like casually. It's just I see. Not that I got any use of it out of it really.
Yeah.
It could have been Quantrite. I'm just saying. It could have been Neromite. Not that that was ever in the game at any point. Could have been Hox Iron. Could have been, which actually I'm pretty sure Hox Iron was like before they decided to just use gold.
Right.
Which is still interesting because gold really does sort of stand out, doesn't it? When you think about it, it's like it's the only real element on Hoxie's. It seems. Obviously, I think there's oxygen, and they mention other metals, but it's the only thing you mine that's actually a real element. And I think that's because it's a dwarven mining game. It kind of just needed to be gold.
Yeah.
That's actually the only reason, I think. Yeah, I don't think it was originally going to be gold. Either way, yeah, we got Phasionite. A mineral which is actually weirdly unsatisfying to mine. I think that's just the numbers, though. I don't know how that works, but it feels less satisfying to mine because you get so little from it for some reason. But it's not that matters, because that's not really what it's about. Because you usually get it from
you're
like the
never
past
really gonna.
things.
Yeah, you're never really gonna get a lot of it in mission because then it would kind of fuck with the store. Like you'd be able to buy everything easily if you got tons. But it's just because it looks like it's more than normal minerals, right? You got like 2 spikes coming out of it, yet you get the same amount.
I mean, yeah. I mean, are there other? I guess there aren't other veins like that. I mean, except red sugar, kind of. But yeah, you're right. Actually, you're right. I mean, I don't think that makes it special. That's just because I don't expect every mineral to look the same. So, I would expect different minerals to form differently. That's fine. No, I wouldn't really agree that makes it seem more special. It does have a weird texture on it, though. Like a weird pattern on it. I don't know if you've noticed this. You get up close.
I don't have to get up close most of the time. It's so bright. It's such a bright
No,
mineral.
but to see this texture, you need to be up close.
I know, but still,
the brightness is probably masking it from a distance.
Yeah, it's such a different visual. Like it is a lot like red sugar for some reason in its visibility in the darkness for some reason, which is a bit weird.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I don't know. It was a good addition. It didn't hurt anything, and it just added to the pool of things to deposit, which, as we've kind of noticed recently, is getting rather large.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah, it might be.
yeah.
Might be. Yeah. I mean, it's not going to stop growing, is it?
No, it's not likely to anytime soon.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, what could season 4 even add in terms of new things to deposit? Because if it is a sequel to season 3, then it's just going to be play cards again. I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe plague core, plague lung, plague brain. Ugh, I don't like the sound of that. That sounds pretty cool, actually. I want to fight plague brain. Like the brain of Cthulhu.
Oh god.
This is just this like massive like rock pox mass, and you break it open. There's just a brain inside, and then you just spiral into madness because in the real world. I don't know why. I feel like something about that would be really chilling. They don't even mention it. I mean, obviously, the word would get around pretty quickly, but it's like a new mission type, and at the end you like break open this giant like rock pox mass, and it's just this brain violently like, pumping out information. And you can like hear voices coming from it.
Yeah, and then your dwarf like blacks out and it says mission complete.
Oh
like,
my
you
god!
don't even go on the pot.
Oh goodness! Or it like draws you in, like tentacles come out of it, and, it like grabs you and pulls you in, and then you black out.
Yeah.
That's what we call everyone cosmic horror. That's what Ugh. I'd love to do some like Lovecraftian shit. That'd be sick. Like, Cthulhu, just put him in. What he
So for season 2?
not unless you want to talk about the med count.
Not really. Good addition, no real flaws.
Except for the paint job thing.
I guess, but that's not a flaw with them. That's a flaw with all of the cosmetics.
Yeah, I agree. Season 2, out of 10.
Never right.
Or is
Secondaries.
the actual patch notes?
Secondaries are like a 10 out of 10. Nemesis is like a 8 out of 10. The actual rival warning is like 7 out of 10.
What?
Um,
Huh?
well, I still don't. I'm not entirely fond of the robots. I realize.
Okay, fine. At least
So
say
all in
9.
all, it's like ignoring the time it took to pump it out and the time we had to sit with it. It's like a 9 out of 10 update. Like it was really fucking good with the things they actually added.
Sure. I was actually going to say 7.5. That's where my mind went. Quite an 8. I think that might have been more at the time. I think season 1 obviously set the bar too high. Obviously. But they kind of didn't acknowledge that, yet it was so painfully obvious. It should have been to them.
Yeah.
Like, well, yeah. I mean, think about how long we've been working on this fucking thing. Of course, there was no sort of. They kind of should addressed that. Yeah, I mean, why would the next seasons have as much content as season 1? Do you know how long we were working on it? But they wouldn't say that, would they? But I think it would have made sense to. Obviously, not in the form of an apology or anything, but it's just like objectively speaking, there's a fair bit less content in season 2 than season 1. It's just like, and I think the point is that there's such clear reasons why that they weren't open with that.
Yeah.
But the reasons are so obvious when you think about it, but they didn't actually say those reasons. So I just find it a bit strange. But no, I mean, I actually really like season 2. In a lot of ways, it's actually my favourite of the 3. Especially because of because I definitely like the rival presence warning more than industrial sabotage, and I definitely like the secondaries more than the new primaries overall. So yeah, in a lot of ways, I actually do like season 2 more than season 1. So I'd probably have to give it like a 9.
Yeah, I think going by seasons, best so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I would be. It would be pretty fucking just great if that was what we were getting every 4 months.
Yeah.
Be awesome. So far we're not. Oh yeah, there was one more thing on season 2 though.
Right.
A to B. It was the Forge Mastery thing.
Right.
Where that was more like almost felt like a bit of a sigh. But yeah, we know you don't like how little choice you get in this. So we'll give you another sort of like randomized selection.
Yeah.
It's like you only get to pick between 2, and then they haven't budged since. Just like, oh no, it's fine. Overclock grind.
Well, obviously
fine.
there's been the glitch, but yeah, I don't know.
Oh yeah, the glitch.
I need to like get up and get a drink. So let's have another rake.
A rake.
And then we'll be back.
We'll be back.
Yeah. I'll be back.
We're back.
We're back.
We're gonna speed this up.
Yeah.
Only because we've talked so much about a lot of stuff towards the end. No other reason.
Yeah, especially recently.
Although,
so
I do think you're right about that thing about people like not understanding what the nemesis is, like trolling. Because I don't know if it's because you saw this guy earlier, by any chance, on the Reddit. Although he did say he's playing for the first time in over a year, but he's played a lot before that, and he heard the screaming voices, and he says he's never heard it before. It must be part of an update I missed. But then he says I checked the map and there wasn't anything. Oh, okay. I'm not sure if I believe this guy anymore. Silly creature. So technically, the next thing they brought up. See, the thing is, I don't know if I care about this because it's not really in game. It's something about for fans by fans.
Right.
It's something.
It's like the fan made merch, right?
Open to create space for Deep Rock Galactic. Yeah, that's literally what it is. It's that just opening up, which is that's fine. I haven't actually seen anything that I really like. I did look at the merch a little bit. It's like nah. Also, not really relevant to the game. Now, we're not going to go through patch notes, but I would like to point out how much there is for season 2. And you know, I think balancing those weapons like post season launch, that's work. I want to point that out.
Yeah. Which is really something. They haven't had much balancing stuff, has they? I mean, I probably should bring that up later, but I don't
Balancing,
recall
not a great deal.
Season
Not really at all. No, not post season 3 launch. You barely touched the grenades in so much. I'm hard pressed to tell you exactly what they've been adding, what they've been patching. I think it's mostly just been a lot of bugs, and of course, more meteor. I mean, and then but the next thing was the roadmap. The roadmap. The roadmap. The roadmap. Probably one of the worst roadmaps. It's also when we the start of the post starts with the Space Beach Party. On June 20th, you can enjoy the first ever Space Beach Party. A brand new assignment available with new hats to collect and festive decorations as well. Was there stuff in the caves during that? I don't remember.
I don't think so, no.
No, there wasn't. Great. Either
Because
way,
that was a bit of I wouldn't say half-assed. It's not like the Lunar New Year, but it was just kind of it was literally a holiday event to get us through the season.
Yeah,
the exact thing I thought they might be doing. That is an exact example of that.
It really is that. That's the thing, because it's not much other reason to. I kind of get it. Like, divorced from that context. Just like I think a summer event, probably something that most live service games do. Don't know.
Yeah,
it's just summer holidays, and its existence makes a lot of sense to me. But it's also I know why they did it, and that makes it slightly bitter. It is to tide. It was to tide us over.
Yeah,
while
they were going on holiday.
Yeah,
and they just wanted us to have something to do because they realized since season 2 was out, we had nothing.
And you know what? That's nice.
Yeah, it's good, but it does. Well, they noticed it. They noticed the immeasurable gap between season 2 and season 3. And they also obviously, because there's not much to say about Summer Holiday that wouldn't then followed up by Oktoberfest.
Oh my god! Oh my! I knew that, but the fact that the next thing that the summer event feels so fucking long ago, and the fact that the next thing that happened was Oktoberfest. Good Lord.
That is the case, right? Like you're looking at it, I'm not missing anything.
No, we'll see. But like that is easily the worst thing about season 2 is just that gap between season 2 and 3. Because really, you look at season 2, it's great. It's just that gap. That is really the worst thing about it. That it's all we had for so long. Not that it wasn't enough for a while, because it was, but not that long.
Yeah.
And which also, by the way, means season 3 won't be enough for. Let's be honest.
Yeah, no.
It won't be enough for how long it's going to take the next update, which is why I'm
the only thing that's the issue though. Season 3 has a benefit that season 2 doesn't have because it's in this part of the cycle. It obviously has the Christmas Yuletide, which is already making it feel pretty alright to play. Alright, it's then going to have might have the Lunar New Year. It'll then have the anniversary event and then the Easter event, right? All of those reliable events coming out during this one. So they didn't really need to add that much content. They have a bunch of holidays to pad out this seasonal period. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing though. If they don't do Lunar New Year, I think people might catch on like next month that there's not enough content. So a lot of new content, but I guess we get a bit more into that. But yeah, no.
I don't know why it says enjoy the imaginary sun. It's on Space Beach Party. There is a real sun right there. We're actually very exposed to it. Sorry, we're still on the roadmap. Right. I mean, obviously that's a bit different. That's news. But the point is, was a very strange roadmap that we doted on for quite some time. So and they still, put new performance parts in there. So okay, fair enough. But I really like the point. New season. What? Yeah. And the description of it's like a weird little just like sort of narrative description, but it doesn't actually give it. It gave us no actual details on what they were planning. It's like, oh, something is on its approaching Kratos on a parabolic trajectory. It's not Roblox. It's like, oh, okay, and that gave us a lot of room to speculate. And also found that we get new grenades. It's like it's not a, it's not good that it gave us more to speculate on than to actually than anything else.
Considering most other games for the immediate next season, people know what they're getting. Generally, for the immediate next season, people often know the exact kind of setup. This is in Overwatch, Apex. That's only really 2 games I remember keeping up with. It is going into the next season. You're going to get a new map, new character, some events in the middle of it, right? And it will tell you that in the roadmap. But obviously, we don't get anywhere close to those specifics. We just, we got that. Which you're gonna give it credit. It was fun to theorize.
Oh,
right?
Sorry, yeah. I mean, it gave us some, a lot to go on.
Yeah,
I mean, I think it didn't give us a lot to go on. It made us. It forced us to come up with things to go on, which you wouldn't normally get if you know exactly what you're getting. I don't know if I want to give it that compliment though, because I do want to see more accurate roadmaps.
Yeah.
So I'm not actually going to give it that credit. You can if you want. I'm not. I think it's a bad roadmap. I think it's a bad.
Well, yeah, but it helped us get through the drought.
It's great. It's fantastic. It's like Quarter 4 2022 Season 3. New season, new performance pass, new grenades. Realistically, no details on those things. Other undecided stuff, right? And then it's like, oh, Season 4 TBA, Season 5 TBA. Oh, sick! It's like,
why even bother at that point?
They really shouldn't be. Season 5 should not be there, certainly.
Yeah.
What's the point in it being there? The only thing that those two being there means to me is like, oh, does that mean they're not doing a Season 6? It's like,
yeah, which
you might
should
as well
be
just
interesting.
leave them out. I mean, unless that is the case.
If we don't see a Season 6 next roadmap, that could be a plot twist.
That would be a bit.
And by see it, we mean the word Season 6 and then TBA.
Yeah, or TBD, or TBO, or to be gay.
Yeah.
OBA.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously there was a roadmap. There was the summer event, which was nothing significant. It was just 2 hats, an assignment, some decorations. That was it. Bog standard, old event, which cool, fine, whatever. It was a guilt edition, but anyway, that's And then obviously, I would say the end of this year had really put on their big boy pants.
Before that, we got 4 million units sold.
Right,
yeah. Which honestly, there's something slightly bitter about this post to me as well. It's just like, whoa, 4 million units, and it's just like, and then they put in a word about Season 3. It's like, we expect it to launch sometime during Quarter 4 2022. It's like, huh. I'm loving the accuracy there.
When you read that, you shit yourself, didn't you? You were like, but it's only ever going to be October, right? You were copying so hard on October.
October was before we knew it was in Quarter 4. Actually, no, it wasn't. No. When we found out it's Quarter 4, okay, October then, because it's just been pushed back a little bit. Okay, that's fine. As long as it's mid-October, latest.
Yeah. Obviously, it's a bit later than that.
Yeah, but it wasn't realistically, it wasn't ridiculously later than mid-October, considering it's right at the beginning of November, technically. But it was a month off mid-October for us.
Yeah.
So it was a month later than I thought was acceptable. Yeah. Pretty weird, isn't it? It's pretty odd.
Yeah, but I think as another apology move, they brought back Oktoberfest, and they and obviously as will be a bit briefer because obviously more recent videos you guys watching probably know about it. Like even if you're new to the game, you probably played Oktoberfest and that.
It's actually it's a combined announcement for FSR 2.0 and Oktoberfest.
Yeah,
FSR 2.0 is just graphic stuff. Got it.
Yeah. Oktoberfest was a experiment on events. They wanted to innovate, adapt, improve other words, and
so,
they did.
Hold on, because we talk far too much about like trying to figure out when exactly we started playing, but we must have started playing like right after Oktoberfest. I think it's actually more accurate, right? Must have been.
I think so.
Because
we didn't get the hat, did we?
We did the first Halloween and the first Christmas. So we must have started playing right after the first Oktoberfest, so we missed it. But there was one, right? This is the point. There was an Oktoberfest back in 2018, and they brought it back out of nowhere in 2022. I say that sort of quite slyly because I have a bit of a point to make.
Make it
about holiday events. It's the most holiday events that we've ever gotten. They created 2 brand new ones in the year of the least content updates in sort of the game's history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is something to be noted.
It is,
for sure.
It absolutely is. There's no dancing. Like, there's, the discussion beyond like what does it actually mean, but there's no dancing around that is significant. And that is a weird thing that sort of happened this year.
A good faith interpretation is that in making seasons, there comes a point where people have nothing to do, yet they can't release the season yet. And they then get them working on events. That's my good faith interpretation on what happens. Like season 3 was mostly done, but they couldn't quite finish it yet.
Well, my good
so
faith
the people that had nothing else to do did Oktoberfest.
My good faith interpretation is that, last year got 3 updates because, 2 of those weren't a season. One of them was. And I guess maybe this is just how demanding seasons are, but it still gives them, because of how they're forced to do seasons, they still have more time. I don't know. That doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's just like, that's not actually good faith. What I'm actually getting at is it means like this is just how long the seasons are going to take or were taking, so they just needed to cram in some other stuff, make sure that time wasn't like felt too much. It kind of still was. Although Oktoberfest was pretty cool, but at the same time we'd been getting teasers already. I think had we? No, obviously, yeah, we had. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when Oktoberfest actually happened, it was in what? Right. Okay. It was a bit earlier than I thought. Sorry. Oktoberfest actually started mid-September. And it ended early October. Yeah, I didn't realise that. Either way, I just accidentally opened Mukafee.
No.
Oh. But yeah, I mean, not only was it surprised that they brought it back, but it also brought some things. New beer.
Yeah.
And I don't remember when the last one was. Smart Stout. That was, by the way. I think that might have been. Oh my god! I think it was when the presses were added. Maybe I think it was, or a bit later. That's basically what I'm saying. Smart Stout's not new, and it hasn't been for quite some time. But it was still added later than the rest of those gimmick beers. But still, there's a new beer just for that holiday. Best worst beer you drink. It's got a sausage in it. You eat the sausage. That sparked a little trend in the real world. I did in fact try that myself. Dipping sausage in beer. It was a completely neutral experience. I felt nothing when I ate that sausage. But yeah, it added that new beer, but also that combined with the other thing is a really sign that they would sort of stepping on the gas with these events, because I don't know how exactly to word it in terms of like categorizing it, but we got the best worst beer mug that you find during a mission. I guess the category is they only double season XP activities. Events, yeah. And in this case, it's just a mug that you find. It's pretty scuffed, like no animation. You pick it up, your like hand is just frozen still, and then you just put it in the pod, the mule. But it was still there, and it's like there was a mug in every mission for you to find, and it would give you double performance points. It's like, that's pretty cool. That's new as well. Not that I need the double XP. I know. I mean, obviously, a lot of people do benefit from it. It's a good thing. I'm not about to start batching them for adding double XP.
Complete the pass.
Yeah, there you go. Not that it would have been a bad. Was it?
What?
I mean, in a lot of ways, I wish I had cosmetics to unlock from other sources. Which is another reason why I like Season 2 so much, because weapons means all of those old frameworks, get put into the target crates. So I like that. That was even more. Which is another dig on Season 3 in how little we had to unlock.
Yeah.
And we thought maybe the unlockables for Oktoberfest would be good. We got barrel hat. Representation. No, it's like that barrel hat still annoys me. It's just unnecessarily silly, At the same time, it wouldn't have made it much better if it was just a barrel on your head. If there's a barrel over your head, but they wouldn't have done that. They don't. That's a bit too. That's almost too. That's still silly, but it's almost a bit too proper for a holiday event.
A barrel. That's like a Crusader helmet.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time before we get Crusader helmet. I mean, I say a matter of time. Yeah, I think it will happen. I think it will happen.
New Plague helmet,
I just have no idea when.
There is a bit of faith there.
Yeah, but that's not. I wouldn't. I mean, those things are related, but I don't think they are in this context. I think.
Oh, they are. They're like
the
gimmicky.
Plague mask got added because the plague.
I guess.
But a divine crusader is there to purge the darkness, purge the filth, the evil. Cleanse the realm. You know.
Maybe DLC pack.
I would love
some
that, actual
armor.
paladin armor with like crusader style helmets, but it's like dwarven. Well, crusader helmets, but in dwarven style. Yeah. And that's really high up there, by the way. I'm like something I want, like dwarven, like warrior armor,
heavy plate,
like what you see in The Hobbit. Yeah, like the iron foot dwarves, those guys. That's what I want the most. But yeah, Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
So I was kind of right when I talked about the teasers, because we got the first teaser just after the Oktoberfest announcement, and that teaser was, of course, the goggles. Looking through the goggles thing, that image, it gave us far too much to say, and it also gave us that release date, the numbers, Mason.
Yeah. The numbers, Mason.
And then, what
do they mean?
A bit later, very shortly before Oktoberfest started, which is when we got the boomerang reveal. That was pretty exciting. I'll admit, it was very exciting when we first got those teasers. It's like, holy fuck, it's the boomerang.
Yeah, it's because we.
And then the dust settled, and we started to realise that there was only going to be one grenade per class.
Well, we didn't realise. We got told. Dev stream, they mentioned that there's only going to be one per, but we're going to allocate the resources elsewhere, which I'm going to be honest, was a bad idea. It was a flawed judgment. But maybe we'll get onto that after Halloween. So that's next, right?
Halloween. Yeah, I mean, we got Ripper and. That's the lead burster, right? Oh no! We had the Ripper, and then we saw a little bit of the rock pox. And then we saw the Shredder Swarm, a bit more content. Then the lead burster, and we saw the liquid vac and the liquid foam sitting in the space rig, and then there's the soundtrack going on vinyl.
Yeah.
Then there's the DLC reveal. Then there's more teasers. Then there's the season 3 title reveal. We found out that it's called Plagueful. Then there's Halloween.
Spooky, scary skeletons.
And we found out that it wasn't going to really bring any extra features like Oktoberfest did. But it didn't
They
need
said
to.
that a while ago.
Yeah. And it also didn't need to, especially considering how close it was to season 3. But at the same time, I still like those hats. Not that I really use them, but I still respect those hats. Those are probably the best Halloween hats.
are they are the only ones that have a chance of being good.
Yeah, even though the previous year was probably the worst.
Yeah, well, chances.
But this year was one of the best, arguably the best. I mean, I like the Demon one. Pumpkin, obviously good. Witch Hat, great. But then this year we got the Mission Control mask, which I don't like it because it implies that Mission Control skin is actually green, which it isn't, because that's just like directly ripped from the illustration. Oh, that's what he looks like.
He's just in a very green room.
And also that horrible, large-toothed gnashing monster, which I quite like, actually. I quite like it. Because, obviously it's got very garish teeth and eyes, but in general its colours are fairly subdued. There's potential there for it to be used. And, Mission Control cosplay is always funny. At any time of year. Either way, I do think they did a good job with those hats.
Yeah.
Not sure how happy I am that they do a good job with hats so often, as opposed to maybe something else. And also that the Mission Control hat has a headgear built into it that would be good on its own. But either way. Either way.
Yeah. Halloween was a obligatory one, because they kind of had to do Halloween. They always do Halloween, but they didn't have the time to go the equal amount as what they've just started. So I don't know. Halloween was just a normal event, which sandwiched in between Oktoberfest and Christmas makes it come off as not as great. But I don't know. It is what it is.
I agree, but honestly, something about Halloween makes it feel like the most traditional one for Deep Rock. I don't know why, but I do know why. It's because it was so soon after we started playing. It was the first Halloween, so yeah, maybe that's it. But yeah, I do like Halloween. But obviously, what came next is your boy. It's your boy.
Wab wab wow.
Don't do that.
Wab wab wow.
Saison toi. Oh boy. Here we go. And it seemed, pretty bright at first. It only seemed bright because we hadn't got our hands on it, and we, Axis Chronos put out that video. It's like, this is shit. We was like, no, it's not. And then we got it. Like, this is shit. Actually, we weren't that harsh on it, but at first.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that we do not have an issue with the actual gameplay for some reason. Like, a lot of people seem to have issues with that, but I find the gooing and sucking a pretty fine time, and I find the life of phage enemies.
Yeah, and I never had much. I saw people having like difficulty with that activity, which is like, oh, it's really tedious, to navigating the terrains and like get all the rock blocks covered. And it's like, I have not had an issue with this at all.
Yeah, I don't think there were issues on launch, like with soloing.
Yeah.
Solo was pretty miserable.
Yeah,
but they equaled it out. But I don't know. Fuck. They dropped the ball with this one, which was what we were dreading. In that it wasn't worth the wait. Simple fact of the matter is, as good as you may think it is, as good as we may think it is, it wasn't worth the wait.
No, and you're obviously like, so you don't have an issue with the gameplay. Another thing, we don't have an issue with the actual quality of any of the content that's been added. It's really all comes down to the,
quantity
the
and
problem
direction.
now. Yes, direction. The problem is actually the decision making wasn't quite there for season 3. The only thing that was there, in my opinion, was choosing to do the rock pucks as a concept is just pretty good. I think that alone is a good concept. But the way that they chose to go about most of it wasn't as good as it should have been. And that comes down to the warning, which shouldn't have been a warning, and like the grenades, which was based on them just feeling obligated to do grenades because they didn't see any obvious directions from the community about what to do next. And it just resulted in a season that felt like the least impassioned so far. Yeah, unfortunately,
it wasn't made for anyone. It doesn't even feel like they liked it. It feels like the grenades were an obligation. It feels like
and a lot of the
changing off the robots was an obligation.
And a lot of the content, despite obviously the quality we still think being there, the nature of it was all very reactionary as well, in that like the main event, the seasonal event, was pretty much divorced from the new enemies, and the new enemies were essentially purpose built to be like the opposite of the robots. So like I said, it all just comes down to the decision making being questionable. In some places, the decision making is arguably absent when you consider it as just a bit of reaction to people's reactions to season 1 and 2.
Yeah. Which is interesting, because we obviously just complained about them not listening to the direction of the community, but clearly they did. They listened to the we don't like the robots. We don't like these facts about them. Please cut that out.
Yeah, but that's because that was like the main feedback. You know, that's because that's what people were talking about when they started working on season 3. So it made sense.
The issue is though is that it's a bad idea. Don't listen to what people don't want inherently. I mean, maybe, there is some argument there, but like, just hear out what people do want next, not what they don't want. And especially since it's not like them making rock boxes the opposite of robots changed robots from being robots, right? Them course correcting with the new enemies didn't make the robots any more manageable. Like they didn't make killing robots more satisfying.
It was making the robots manageable that made them more manageable. Nerfing the mission, arguably, and also nerfing patrol bots into the ground too. Which I still don't quite respect that decision. I think in a lot of ways, Industrial Sabotage, they technically didn't do as much as they should have done, because there was I don't know if you saw the polls recently. I think they were on Reddit. It was just like favourite mission type. Or no, least favourite, sorry. Industrial Sabotage, winning least favourite mission type by a landslide. Same poll as Escort Duty,
Yeah, it's... I don't know. It feels like they are stumbling for the first time in their career.
But that's why
don't know how to...
That's why we should probably be more optimistic than we have been, because this is really the first time it's felt like this with an update. This is why we just need to at least try and be more neutral than negative.
Well, I don't think we need to dogpile them. No. But like, if this is their first time kind of failing, right, we need to kind of at least try and help them in case they don't know how to come back from it. Because so far, they ain't. Season 3 was not an improvement over Season 2 and Season 1. It was, at best, a downgrade. It was no actual useful guns to experiment with or anything to actually experiment with. It was just simple grenades. There was no volume of enemies and a warning that we just had.
It was fairly surface level, exactly. I mean, like, especially the equipment edition, where it's just like, how early on did you decide to do new grenades? Because if it was really early on, then surely you had enough. No, I don't actually know. No, I was about to say, surely you had enough time to add, like, I don't know, grenade upgrades. But that would be a much more comprehensive decision, and that would require a lot of, like, that would take a lot of time to decide if they were going to do that or not, I think.
It feels like they actually were technologically or manpowerly enabled to make this update come out at a reasonable amount of time. The fact they had to divert resources from the equipment thing implies that they were shooting and hitting above their pay grade on the other stuff. Like that was taking a lot out of them, a lot more than I imagined they had hoped for, and that's what seemed to have taken it so long. And that cost them. I think that was a huge mistake.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, I think in a lot of ways, when it comes to criticising season 3, we might need to strip back a little bit to bare essentials, and that something that sort of people can't really disagree with. And you did mention it. It's like, at least comparatively, it just wasn't worth the wait. It's the longest wait so far. Actually, I think between any updates, actually, I'm pretty sure. And it had like the least content out of the 3 seasons. So it's just like, well, those are facts. Unfortunately, those are facts. Whether or not you think that's a problem is subjective, but I think it's not good. They need, next update needs to be better, or there needs to be more frequent updates. Those two things are sort of unavoidable. Don't fight me. Don't.
Yeah, and I think if you want a lot more on those facts, or those opinions rather, that's probably more accurate. There are plenty of streams and probably other podcasts of us going on it.
Streams where specifically Tyler is both not ill and also, in the heat of passion. So recent stream, like I said, I rebranded it. It was just a normal generic deep rock stream, but I still changed it. Where it's like I called it like an open and unfiltered message to Ghost Ship Games. Rant stream. There's a rant, obviously. That one spells it out pretty clearly. I think that actually had a permanently damaged Tyler's psyche. It like used up
the worst part is
a lot of energy.
The worst part is that I'm pretty sure that I ruined Deep Rock for someone in the chat, right?
Oh, good God. I mean, that could... Yeah, okay. I might not... Okay, I'm not going to recommend that people watch that stream then, but I'm also not going to say don't watch it. I'd say if you're interested in someone getting really angry about a game that they love, maybe you should watch it. But, take that, the fact that it ruined the game for someone, as you will. What did he say?
Like, well, he was in the comments and he was like, "What's wrong with it? Like, the game's fine. It's really cool." And then I went in and explained to him why it isn't cool. And it wasn't even about like anything specifically in the season. Like, I didn't convince him that Rockbox was a terrible enemy. I just convinced him that Rockbox isn't an enemy. There's like none of them compared to like other seasons, and it's just
number of enemies added. Because I should point out those swarms are pretty actually quite gnarly sometimes.
Yeah, it's like I just pointed out to him, and now every numerical measure since seasons, the game's updates have been getting progressively worse. Whether or not that's making the game worse is questionable.
So,
but it's making the future bleaker.
Would you actually consider? Does that mean you would consider season 2 a worse update than season 1?
It was a lesser update, which is a negative. Is it not? Like, it added less stuff. It added a lot less enemies.
Yeah, it's interesting because I would say like, oh, that was the secondaries though, because and I think they did put a lot of effort into them, but it's also like, well, yeah, but they're also reusing enemies and also a lot of assets and textures to create the new stuff, of which there isn't a lot.
That's what I'm saying. I think season 2 they actually did the right thing, and instead of diverting equipment resources to the gameplay shit, they actually took the gameplay resources and put it into the guns and like overclocked on that.
Exactly. That's why I think season 2 is possibly better in terms of it's obvious that and that's also obviously season 2 is more reasonable because than season 1 to make. But it still felt like they put the attention in the right areas. And whereas season 3 didn't feel like they were putting attention to any of the right areas, really.
Yeah.
And it's sort of questionable where the attention actually went. Like, I do genuinely find it somewhat questionable. It's just like,
Which
that this is a lot less than the others, right?
I feel like that's something interesting that we should do at some point, or like maybe if you or the audience listeners can do or want to do, is like watch our videos at like beginning of season 2, and then like go through maybe just a podcasts through season 2 to season 3, and I bet you that there is a gradual like just worse and worse. Like we get madder and madder, and like we're sick and tired, and it's just like it goes. You can visibly like hear or see or whatever, like us getting like more and more disappointed in the game.
Yeah.
And then obviously season 3, the actual launch, fucking detonated that bomb.
Oh no, for see, but season 3 was important. Remember, we got certain things like the rival content, how that was changed is pretty significant, or it might be.
Yeah.
I don't know, because at the same time it's like, yeah, I get that this all makes sense, but I just don't think this is going to work when in like 2 or 3 years time. Can't just do this exact thing again. It's pretty weird. I've said this before like quite a few times as well, but we really thought season 3 was going to tell us a lot, and it's almost like we hope that
good.
Exactly. It's like we don't want those to be the things that it told us. We're just like, no, this isn't actually how it's going to be, is it?
Season 4, they're gonna sort it out. We're just coping. Except I'm also not coping. I'm dooming. I'm doom coping.
Doom coping. Doping.
Yeah.
Cumin.
Cumin.
Dopamine.
Cumin.
Cumin. All right. What do you think the best thing about season 3 was then? How about that?
As much as once again Small Meteor, I do think Normal Meteor.
Exclude Small Meteor. Okay.
Was fucking just cool. It just felt like they had improved the like hacking game mode into something good. That's just what it felt like protecting something that's just doing something somewhere else. It just felt like they had just improved it.
I respect that because it's like, it's a very much so an improvement upon data deposit. Whereas, like, as much as we do actually like the Rockbox enemies, those don't feel like an improvement of the robots. They're just something completely different. I mean, obviously it's different because it's a new theme, but like, it's just completely different. And then the Meteor, that feels more like a direct improvement of something rather than a complete like U-turn. And I'd rather see them improve than do U-turns. I think that's pretty. I feel like that's pretty unanimous. I feel like that's probably quite hard to disagree with. I'd like to see someone disagree with that. I mean, surely it's better to just get better than to just do U-turns that don't like objectively improve things. They just add things that are preferable to the other thing. Your mum.
No, not my mum.
Assignments. Plateful assignment was pretty good.
Yeah.
They had voice lines, but it's like, fine. As long as that's not like wasted effort. Didn't make me feel anything, but
Once again, it's just them innovating, putting in 150%, which is.
But that number goes up every time.
Well, maybe, but it's just they're just going so fucking hard, and they can't keep it up. It's just they need to be bigger. That's what it feels like. Fuck.
To be bigger, what?
They gotta have the manpower to back up how much effort they're putting into this game.
Exactly. It feels like they don't think about sustainability, even though they've introduced a seasonal model. They've still just been winging it. And just like doing as much as they can instead of as much as they should.
Yeah.
Like, that's
which
not
was
quite
obviously good in the past, but I guess in the past they were dealing with easier mechanics, really, right?
Well, simpler game, yeah. I mean, the game is more complex now. It's probably harder to implement things.
Yeah. And it's just getting more and more effort, and they keep putting in more and more effort and making it more and more effort. And I think that's why we've got 6 and a bit fucking months. And we see no signs of it not also being the case for next season. Unless they're on roadmap. But I don't know. I'm getting pretty conked out right now. I don't know. Yeah, once again, a lot of our opinions on season 3 are on other podcasts, streams, videos generally.
Yeah, but remember, it's just about sort of things that happened in the year of, well, not necessarily of significance, it's basically about everything. But, it's something that happened that they added sort of new, quote, weapons. Like, the lithofoam and lithovac are like guns in the sense of like, a water pistol.
Yeah.
What I mean, which obviously sounds like that sounds maybe sounds a little bit insulting, but I mean that's different to like the hacking device.
Yeah, but it's similar to the oil sucker in.
Yes, it is. It's a good point, but at the same time, no, it's a very good point. There's a difference.
That's what I kept thinking. I kept thinking that they've added this new mechanic. This will be interesting, but then I realized
it's not that new. It's not that new. It's cool that it's something that you cool down. Not cool down. Something you cool down from like as a drop, and you take equipment from it. And it's more a part of your kit than the fuel, whatever they were. What are they?
Canisters.
Fuel canisters, because you just put those back into Retta, they're also heavy objects. Now, yeah, you could throw the lithofoam and the lithovac, but it's a very small thing, but you can sprint with them. So like, this is more like just another weapon.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they still have added something new, which I look forward to them experimenting with. Like we could get game mode specific equipment, like the oil refinery canister or whatever, but more in the lines of like maybe there's a boss fight that you need to get these like a special fucking heavy artillery gun.
Well, I was about to say actually it was for the lithofoam and lithovac. It's like I really think they'd be doing themselves a favour if they are doing a sequel to season 3 that you have a Rockbox boss fight where you actually use them as in the one stage of it. You have to like break open a shell with those bits of equipment. And then
they need to reuse that stuff, especially considering they look like they're the thing that cost them the most
exactly. And I'm sure if we get a sequel season, it will, because of that's what they did with the hacking. Although these things are much more important than the hacking, especially than it was in season 1. The hacking was just for it was just for the patrol bots. The hacking was a big deal because you had Hack C, but that's someone else. That's a little robot. That's not you. Also, the lithofoam does actually deal damage. Now, I'm going to need to test this again because it might have been in a dream.
You can farm loot bugs with it, right?
Yeah, it's not that. You can kill swarmers with it. Now, this is why I need to test it, because it might have been in a dream. But I feel like this happened. I was shooting it, like, it's doing like a tiny amount of damage to the swarmers, but like enough where, hold on, got infinite ammo. And it could kill the swarmers. It could. I'll have to test that again. But still, interesting. I think it's because it actually has to deal damage. I don't know. That's what I assume.
Yeah.
Like it can't not deal damage for some reason. Even though it doesn't. Why does it have to?
It would be a technical thing. I guarantee you, there's a technical reason as to why that's the case. Games often have to do that.
That's how it can apply to the Rockbox though.
Well, maybe it's that it has to. The Rockbox needs to register the damage of the goo,
and it can only be damaged by that, obviously.
Yeah, it's probably got its own like damage status effect, or whatever that only Rockbox gets affected by.
Lithofoam status effect.
Yeah.
They also added new cave shapes, but this was specific to like point extraction, really, for being honest.
Yeah.
But there were others, but we've noticed it in point extraction. At the same time, doesn't change much when you consider the fact like we were playing point extraction and we thought, this is new. It was also very clearly new because of how well defined it was. Once again, you still haven't really broken the curse of point extraction having very clear cave shapes. They just added new ones. I don't actually mind that. It's actually something I kind of like about point extraction. So it's just good they got more variety now.
I recognize like 2 of them. There's like Pillar Room, where it's like 3 stages and they're all like pillars everywhere. Yeah. And then there's like Hive, where it's like a big room in the middle and then there's tons of network tunnels. It's a big room
that's like long and tall, but not very wide for some reason. And there's like lots of tunnels that lead out of it. Like at different levels as well, like high up and low down. And it's actually really cool. Sick. Yeah, I actually really like that. It definitely felt more like cramped, like more enclosed. It wasn't like small, obviously. But I liked that it didn't feel very open. that it was made a lot of different tunnels, and you don't point extractions don't use tunnels like a lot. They usually just use different levels of the cave and occasional offshoots. But that was pretty cool still. And I think cave shapes is something that should. I mean, it'd be nice to add them like just pretty regularly. But they won't, because I think everything seems like a bit more of an investment now, which is why it's sort of it had to be part of season 3 and not just a random update, or not just every season. You know, like it was a specific thing they did for season 3. Either way, moving on from season 3, I think we should. I think we can. It's the last thing. Beginning to look a lot less like Christmas.
Yay!
I mean, Steam Awards as well. They got nominated.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Shit. Small Meteor.
At the beginning of the year. Alright, Small Meteor.
Small Meteor. Yeah.
Small Meteor.
Feature. A new event born out of a meme. Its genesis will be written down in the annals of history. Good job.
Yeah. Just shows that if enough of the community memes about something hard enough, it gets added. Same with like the We're Rich voice lines now.
They did it better than what like the community were wanted. Like, oh, exactly. You know.
Yeah, they just wanted it back in like the normal Meteor thing, but yeah, no. Now there's Meteor Shower, which is a second event, which is kind of wild.
Woo, woo. The only reason I don't quite consider it that is because you can get them in the same mission, and the shower, like the mini ones, you get far less play cards just all the time. You're never going to get more play cards from that than you will from a big Meteor full size.
Yeah, the showers are just like little ring, like tinkling. I can't think of the word.
It's definitely an event, but it doesn't feel as much like it's for that. It feels more just like so you can have a meteor shower.
Yeah,
which is just pretty cool.
It's just a sprinkling in the cave. It's just a little thing that could happen anywhere, all the time. They're watching the eyes.
The eyes.
Yeah.
Digging a hole. Going even deeper.
Yeah, point is, I think we went into it in the video. They're a fucking amazing addition, except the fact they kind of aren't. But the simple fact they added them is fucking sick.
Really close to the mic.
I did, yeah, because I'm falling forward.
Falling forward. I'm falling for you.
Yeah. So, yeah, good addition, but also kind of not, but also kind of yeah. Considering it only took them a week, it completely revitalized my faith in them. Not that it changed my opinion on season 3.
No.
It just gave me faith that they can and are still they're still the developers from the ones I used to know.
I agree. It made season 3 a bit better for me.
Yeah, I guess, but it's still, it didn't change the output of 6 months went into that. It's just that then it took them a week to add something equal. Not equal, but I mean.
Yeah. You got it, bro.
Of equal name worthy, it's an event, a seasonal event. Whether or not it's equal to the actual other one is not debatable. It's not, but yeah, namesake it is. Fucking hell. Let's finish this.
Well, it's Christmas, which is the most recent thing we've talked about.
Yeah. Honestly, I think, was it the last podcast we did that?
It was the last podcast, and I think what I'll say on it is very good. I like the elves. I don't mind them adding things like that. I just worry, obviously, the main worry was just like, how are they going to reuse those things? Would it make sense for them to? Or are they going to try and come... Because I don't want them to try and come up with something else.
Yeah,
are they going to add a similar feature for every holiday event? And then are they also going to reuse those or not? It's very wishy-washy in that regard. But at the same time, I did like it. I like the elves. Funny little fellas. I like the cosmetics that they added.
You mean the movie?
Yeah, that's good. That's a great voice line, actually. I really like the cosmetics they added. I just wish it was like... I wish it wasn't a bonus thing, and it was more so like showing that they could add different types of cosmetics for holiday events instead. Because that's what I want at this point, because literally, one of the main reasons for that is, I mean, especially if they actually, tighten up their big boy pants and let us actually choose the paint jobs. Any other like type of cosmetic is better than what the headgears will be from now on, because
Yeah.
it's not like they're necessarily going to run out. It's just like anything else in these holiday events will be better than whatever the headgears would have been. So I just want them to do other things. And it didn't actually show that because they had 2 pretty crappy headgears along with it. I mean, the one that wasn't part of the elf costume is like the worst holiday headgear we've ever had. Like
Indie games.
reindeer games. Like reindeer go away forever. Just not needed. I like pickaxes and like Bosco frameworks. Have some of that stuff, but also just that stuff. It's okay. You don't have to do headgears. They're not good. They don't. Maybe that's not the right way to put it. Either way, I would say Yuletide was very good. But I don't like the fact that they got carried away. I just don't, because like obviously they admitted that. That's why I'm saying that. I don't want them to be carried away.
They need to rein themselves in a lot more than they are.
I think that might be reaching, but it's like, why get carried away on Christmas when you could be working on their content?
Yeah.
I mean that. It might sound like kind of, I mean it. Right.
Well, it's because technically it is content. You know what I mean?
No, it's not though.
It's temporary content, which is not the stuff
that
we want to
technically
rely on.
isn't though, doesn't it?
I guess, yeah. No, I do agree with you that it's obviously not the same. If it won't
be content, then is it content?
Yeah.
If
in like a week's time you won't be able to do any of it, was it really worth it?
Yeah, exactly. Cosmetics is content, but also is it? Is cosmetics content? It's a different type. It is, but it's not. There's different types of content.
It's not even equal to like game mode though. That's like the lower tier content. Your first thing is equipment, then you're actually like game mode warning stuff, and then cosmetics.
Yeah, like cosmetics last, right? But they're not. They don't add to the gameplay. But it's still permanent content. Bit weird. That's a bit weird, isn't it? That's a bit weird. Either way, that was 2022 of Deep Rock Galactic. A very, very, very strange year because, like I said, I'm just going to lay it all out. We got the least amount of actual content updates, but the most holiday events we've ever had. It's actually 3 more than like what was the average.
And the effort put into 2 of them were far more than we've ever had before.
It escalated, actually. Yeah, it was really weird. And that stuff is, I don't. Maybe I'm going to put my foot down and say I don't really appreciate that stuff.
Yeah,
I don't care for more holiday events. I don't care at all. I'd get rid of all of them if it meant we got more seasons. I'm not kidding.
If we had no holiday events,
if I could, but I'd still get rid of that. I'd still get rid. I still would.
Yeah, if selling all the holidays will get us 3 seasons a year, yeah, we'd do it any like fucking deal with the devil immediately.
And there's an argument that's like, but that stuff's not taken away from like main development. It's just like this. Did you not hear the numbers? Least content updates, most holiday events. Does that not spell anything to you? I'm not saying it's the truth, but it still spells something out that may or may not be true, that they've wasted a lot of effort on those events that could have gone into seasons. There's a chance that that's true. That writing is on the wall. Doesn't mean it won't be washed off, or that it was like someone else wrote it. But it's still there.
Which is a question I think should be asked in the anniversary stream.
We'll try and ask
do you interrupt seasonal like content additions to make holidays?
I think it needs to be worded in a way that they can't like. It needs to be worded properly, where it's just like basically how much effort do you put into the holiday events, such as the anniversary or Christmas, and does that take away from?
It's not an answer.
Updates?
That is the question we want to ask, because they'll just say lots and then job done for the first one. But if they are directly questioned on their balance between holiday and seasonal
sorry, I've got it. Does the effort put into holiday events such as the anniversary or Christmas take away from the main content updates? That's better. I think.
that'll
Yeah,
that'll
'cause
be a question. I'm sure they wouldn't be willing to ask.
That starts with the main point. It's not it's not a double-barreled question. It's not like how much effort do you put into the holiday events, and does that take away? It starts with does it take away? Because they probably ignore the second part if I worded it. It was the original question.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, God. I don't even want to say I don't even want to give a final sentence on the year. It won't be very nice because it won't.
All in all, this year is record growth for Deep Rock. Most players on, let's see, season 3, right? That's the most players ever on the game.
Yeah, it actually
record
it grew
current players.
Because they reported on the 4 million players on in June, and they were like, it's grown from 1 million since season 1, 6 months in 1 million players. Well, they they didn't gain 1 million players. Sorry, they had 1 million downloads. Big difference.
But yeah, so the game is still doing very well. Especially helps that a lot of YouTubers are paying attention to it now.
Yeah,
it's every other week some random YouTubers yo, Rock Galactic is fucking fire. And it's only a matter of time.
I like that. But I could give it, unless you got anything else to say, I could give a final sort of evaluation that isn't too destructive. 2022 for Deep Rock Galactic was a year of great success, but questionable developmental direction. That's it.
Yeah, I think that's. Thank you all for watching. I'll be back or I will die.
All right, I'll be a little okay. I'll give them a little bit more of a cheery send off. Right. Okay. Thank you everyone for listening and for watching and for being so cool and fun. If you enjoyed this, please make sure to. It feels so gay. Please make sure to rock and stone, and by rock and stone I do mean like and subscribe. Are we gonna do a Saturday video? Because that's New Year's Eve. Remember?
I can do New Year's Eve. It's up to you.
What would it be?
I don't know.
Wow.
Do not have a clue. We'll see, won't we? No promises. Anyway, yeah. Thank you all for watching.
Merry Christmas and a happy New Year.
Yeah.
You have to.
Obliged.